did I'm sure you guys you guys have been a little quiet in the group chat this week. Have you guys saw the Will Smith stuff, of course, with the Oscars, right?
Oh my god.
Yeah.
Oh brother.
Oh brother, Montrell, you
Of
seem
course.
a little grumpy about this. What's your take on this? I need to understand this. I've been
All
enjoying the hell out of
right.
it, but
No, the memes are funny. It's just everyone's like position on it. First of all, it's like none of our business. That's my position on it, right? And then second of
Mhm.
all, like if it is my business, if I discuss it or give my opinion, people are saying like, oh well, he smacked him. Jada cheated on him, but he didn't smack the guy she cheated on him with. Well, they have an open relationship that's documented. They've literally said that. So they have an open marriage. So
Mhm.
of course he wouldn't smack the guy she's sleeping with because the marriage is open. Two, I don't like how people are framing Will Smith. Even Alec Baldwin said, "Oh, this was like watching Jerry Springer," and guy literally shot a dude on set. So I don't know where we're going with this. Like it's like they're painting Will Smith as some brute, and like he's not. He's
Mhm.
Will Smith. I mean, he's always been a nice guy.
Yeah, man.
It was a moment of weakness, and I'm like, I think everybody's allowed to have that moment of weakness. It wasn't a
Mhm.
good showing. I don't think he should have slapped Chris Rock at all. It was a lighthearted joke. I don't think it was. Uh,
Mhm.
it's all sorts of angles. Then you got other angles where like I'm on it like on the political end or like the race narrative of it, right? Like I am
Mhm.
for protecting black women
Mhm.
and I don't like them being the butt of jokes and everything like that because that opened the floodgates for other people to joke about them, which other people were. Comedians were
Mhm.
like calling, like other white comedians were calling her bitch and stuff like, oh, this bitch has had her hair shaved for this and this, that, and third. And I'm like, bro, okay, now you need to chill out. So
Mhm.
it's like, it's a whole bunch of narratives going on that
Mhm.
I'm tired of the discussion.
I
Um,
feel you on that. I'm
Yeah, I
the
get that.
serious part of the discussion. I've been over it since Monday. Like I don't really care about it from that angle anymore. There's a lot of takes out there. Some of them are really bad. It is what it is. Like I feel bad for Will Smith because yeah, sure it was a moment of weakness. I don't condone what he did. The violence aspect of it at least.
mhm.
Um, but at the same time, like he seems emotionally like kind of I don't know, not like settled
Mm.
at times, and I think it's just an unfortunate. It was just an unfortunate situation because it was weird because he was like laughing at the joke, and then all of a sudden his mood he totally swings the other direction, and he walks up there, smacks him, and he starts cursing up a storm, and
Mhm.
then then there was obviously the acceptance speech after that. So there was a lot going on. Okay, there was a lot going on, but
Yeah,
Will Smith's not a
Yeah.
bad dude suddenly because of this.
yeah, it's just Hollywood is like Amy Schumer said, like, "Oh my god, that triggered me," and I'm like, "What are you triggered by? Like, did a dude slap you while you're doing
Yeah,
stand up or something? Like, I
yeah.
don't understand.
Well,
It's just a whole
it kind
bunch
of
of
makes you
weird
wonder: are
takes.
people like out to get Will Smith? Like, is this like they?
I think so. I think this is like an
I
Yeah.
excuse.
Yeah, I kind of feel. I mean, I'm right there with both of you. I mean, I think there's a lot of there's a lot going at this. I mean, I saw it once where people were saying it's like comedians versus Hollywood, and then now it's like Hollywood versus Will Smith, and I I I think I don't know. I think one of my biggest things is I don't I don't think what he did was bad or sorry. Let me rephrase that. I think what he did was not the correct way to address the situation. I
Facts.
understand. I understand a little bit of where he might have been coming from, especially because um, I I went down a little bit of the rabbit hole with my girlfriend, and like last year at the Oscars, Chris Rock also made fun of Jada at that point, and they weren't
Mm.
there.
Mm,
And so I think that there could have been something going on. And I've heard like angles of where Jada was the one who kind of orchestrated, like, hey, you shouldn't let him do that to me or whatever like that.
yeah. Well,
Um,
that's what it seemed like. That's kind of what it seemed like to me, but
yeah.
it's hard to say without like I mean we don't have audio of her doing anything. She kind of looks at him briefly, and then he swings real quick, but I don't know. We're speculating. Like I don't know what really set him off. But from a non-serious angle, I think this shit's been hilarious. the memes
Oh
we've
yeah, the
gotten
memes have
been,
been
oh my
hilarious.
god, the
They've
gaming
been
memes
amazing.
have been top tier, dude. This is the best Twitter's been performing in a while on that front. So like I saw some like fucking Smash Brothers one, Montrell. I think you retweeted this. Like there was like a Dragon Ball Fighters one. That shit was fucking hilarious. Like,
Yeah, I saw that
there's
one.
been some really funny shit coming out of it. And I think ultimately, down the road, we have a new meme template. Okay. Will Smith gave us a new meme template. He gifted that to all of us, and we'll get to enjoy that for the rest of the time at the very least. So
Yeah,
well,
I mean, it was a fun moment. It was a fun moment for us.
mhm.
I honestly don't think like him and Chris Rock are beefing. I mean, like I think it was like I said, like a moment of weakness. I think also like Denison said, Chris Rock was talking about them last year, and then in the 2016 one where Jada Pinkett boycotted the awards and then call for all black actors and entertainers pretty much not to go. Chris Rock was hosting that one. He went and he made jokes about it as well. So I just think it was an all-encompassing thing of like backroom stuff happening, and it just kind of exploded on the scene right there. So I don't know.
Yeah.
I just think people should just mind their own business. It was funny, but I don't need reporters asking every actor and actress their takes on the whole situation. Like it happened.
Yeah.
It happened.
I don't even know about any of that. I literally could care less what any of the other people that were there, like the actors and shit, like what they think about it, because I don't know. They're like their opinions in most things aren't valuable in general. So yeah, I don't know. But hey, it was a funny moment for me. I got to enjoy it. So that's what I did. So the other thing that happened this week is the Halo TV show has been airing. And I don't know why, but I got really mad about this. They have already unmasked Master Chief in that show. And they did it in the fucking, I think it was the first episode. He takes his fucking helmet off. And yeah, there's certain things that in gaming that are kind of sacred, and it feels like Master Chief, taking his helmet off is one of those things because he's never done it in the games. Well, he's never. Okay, have we ever seen his face?
Yes,
We have. In the games.
They showed it. They showed it in Halo 4. Yes.
Oh, I didn't know that. Okay.
Yeah, he takes
I
his
didn't know
mask.
that
If you
either.
beat Halo,
Never
if you
mind.
beat Halo 4 on, is either Halo 4 or Halo 5. I think it's Halo 4 though. You beat Halo 4 on Legendary. They take all his armor off. Actually, they show the process of them taking his armor off, and he takes his helmet off, and they finally reveal his face.
Oh, well, never mind then.
So
I guess we can move on. All right. Well, okay. Now that we're through that, we got that straightened out. Hi, everybody. Welcome to the Player Stake, episode 163. I'm your host, Justin Simone, joined by my co-host, as always, Montrell Rice, and I'm sure you all have heard the third voice, and longtime listeners may recognize it. It is Denison Rice, our good friend from the Catchup Podcast. And he's joining us this week because we have some juicy Gran Turismo 7 discussions to be had. So we'll be talking about that later in the show. So, boys, let's not waste any more time. Let's just get right into it and start with what we've been playing. And why don't we start with our guest, Denison? Do you want to tell the people what you've been playing this week?
Yeah, of course. So I've been playing Gran Turismo 7 just because I've been waiting for a proper Gran Turismo game for quite a while. So I've been playing this pretty routinely. It's just become part of my like nightly routine as much as I can. And it's been fun. It's been super fun, but I'm going to wait and kind of talk about, I guess, my big discussion on like my real thoughts on it a little bit later.
Okay.
But another game that I've been playing is Deathloop. I actually got it as a gift, and it's really fun. Um, Now, I don't think it has a huge amount of staying power, and I also think that's one reason why a lot of people have kind of just it's disappeared from the limelight. But
Hmm.
it's an actual. I find that it's a really fun game. There are some weird glitches that I got, which was weird since the game has been out for a long time. Um, or it's been out for a decent amount of time, I should really say. Um, but overall, it's fun. It's a little repetitive, but I think there's enough like nuance there to really make the game kind of shine and stand out. And there's a lot of like extra stuff there to kind of make it slightly more multiplayer-ish.
Hmm.
But yeah,
So I heard
I enjoy it.
it is multiplayer as far as like people can essentially invade your
Yes.
games and disguise themselves as enemies.
Correct.
No, they can't. Aren't they like literally the woman that chases you, the like assassin?
Well, my
Yeah,
friend was talking to me about it, and he said that they can actually disguise themselves as certain enemies
they
and
can.
Oh, okay.
kill you. Okay.
Yeah, it's the one
Yeah.
power. It's like the main power that you get as because yeah, you're coming in as the second person who's on like the box or whatever like that. Um, and yeah, the biggest thing that you can do is disguise yourself, um, which is
Okay.
really cool and really really helpful. I've used it before, and I was able to destroy this one guy because I knew where he was going. Um, so yeah,
Cool.
that's really really cool. And the big thing about it is since it's like a time loop thing, if you're like say in the process of eliminating a certain enemy and you need to do it in a certain time frame or whatever like that, if they die they have to start from scratch,
Mm,
so it
man, that's
becomes
Mm.
a
brutal,
real
dude.
problem. Yeah, it becomes real brutal. That's why
Mm,
I would say my first playthrough of the game I turned that off
okay.
because I didn't want to try to learn the game and get killed at the same time.
Wait, so you're on your second playthrough?
Third actually.
Third? What? Damn,
Wow.
man, you really into this game? Man, you're
I
underselling that. What? Third playthrough? Damn.
it's fun, man. I
I mean,
told you
is it
it's really
short?
fun. Once you get the hang of everything, yes, it's really short.
Okay.
But it takes you a long while to get used to everything.
Hmm.
And there's multiple endings. So I've been kind of going through. I'm on my third one just so that I can get that last ending, and then I'll probably put it down a little bit after that.
Okay. Well, so yeah,
So
this game was really divisive. Some people loved it, and a lot of people hated it. There was a lot of stuff about the AI being really bad in this game. Have you found that to be the case for
yes,
enemies? Okay.
yes, yes.
Does that is that not taken away from the fun though of it?
I don't think so. Because I will say, like, a lot of times they'll litter just AI or just enemies throughout the game, like just crazy amounts of people for no gosh darn reason. Like, you
Hmm.
can just be in an alleyway and then there's like five guys there, and you're just like, oh, I guess that makes sense. Um, but so yeah, it's not that bad, but yeah, I'll say like the biggest thing is detection. So sometimes you could kill like an AI enemy, like sneak kill them really close to another one and they don't notice at all. And they never notice.
Oh yes, the best stealth gameplay.
So,
Oh yes.
but otherwise I think I don't, it doesn't detract from me because the main enemies, the bosses are actually pretty smart relatively. So,
Okay.
um
Okay.
Cool.
but I guess my last one that I've been playing, which is really truly just on and off, which is GTA 5 online. I have a love hate relationship with this game. Um,
Okay.
it's and it continues to get worse. But I don't know. There's just ever since I don't know. It's weird, but ever since I got my PS5, like it's kind of pulled me back in.
Mhm.
And so I've just been playing. I think it's because the load times are 10 times faster.
Mhm.
Um,
Makes sense.
but yeah, like it's been funish. I really just kind of go in, get my little daily quest stuff or weekly
Yes.
quest stuff, and then I'm out.
Okay. So you're playing it like it's almost like an MMO for you in that way. It's like a game you do
Exactly.
daily. So you get off, you make a little progress.
Exactly.
Well, I mean, like, okay, I've never played GTA, and I've definitely never played GTA Online. What is the point of GTA Online? Like, what are you doing in this game? Like, what is your goal? Anything? Like, is it as crazy as the single player game? Like, can you do all sorts of crazy shit, or is there like stricter rules on what the players are capable of?
No. You can do whatever you want. I mean, if you want to spend your whole day, your whole time killing other players for no gosh darn reason other than just to be that guy, um, you can do that. Now, if you do it too much, they will put you in like a lobby with all the other people who want to do that.
Okay.
But
Time out.
yeah, exactly. You get stuck in timeout for a little while. But otherwise, yeah, no, you do whatever you want. There are missions and quests and all sorts of other crap like that, but you can do whatever you want. And I think that's the biggest appeal. I think that's kind of one of the big appeals for me, as well as the cars. I know it sounds weird, but I like GTA's cars and some of the stuff that you can get on them. So
Okay.
yeah.
Are you excited about GTA 6?
I'm not actually. I don't like Take Two. I don't like what they're doing with Rockstar, and I don't think that it's. I don't think Rockstar is the same Rockstar that came out with GTA 5. So,
Mm.
I don't like. I don't. I'm not. I'm not. Excited about it. I'm actually scared. I think it's just going to be a terrible game, to be honest.
You think it's going to be monetized to all hell? I mean, we'll
Oh,
talk about this in a bit, but yeah.
oh yeah. So I'm not.
Okay.
I'm not ready for that.
All right, fair enough. Montrell, do you want to go next?
Yeah. So I've been playing nothing but Elden Ring. I think I'm on like week 3 now. At this point, I'm actually tired of this
I
fucking
think
game.
it's week 4.
Week 4? Okay.
Let's check.
I'm
gonna check.
I'm tired of this game, man. It's a good long. I think I'm just ready. I'm at the final boss, but the final boss is really hard. Not really hard. It's just I think I'm at my limit of patience now, and I really want to just beat the boss. But you have to maintain the same level of patience that you had when you first started the game, because the boss has a lot of pausing attacks and everything, and then he has a second phase. But usually bosses, when they have second phases, they do it when they're half health. So you got to beat this boss completely, and then you get a second phase, and then you have to learn that boss's phase full health again. Like that boss is a full health bar.
Yeah.
So it's like, and then if you die, you got to do the whole thing over again. So it's like, yeah. So I'm at my limit now, and I'm like, I was at the point where I was like, I would just summon somebody. But the problem is there are so many people trying to summon other people that when a summon sign comes up, it's like you got to hurry up and grab before someone else does. And if you do, sometimes that person is really not that good, and they die like super fast. So it's like, because I can get like maybe to the second boss, I can get them like 20% health, and then I don't know, I kind of freak out and I lose or whatever, right? So it's like, oh, if I just had someone to take kind of like another person take the pressure off me, because I use my mimic tier. My mimic tier is upgraded, is actually pretty good. So it's like I can take it all. I can kill him first phase pretty easily. With just the second phase, I just need a little bit of help getting the pressure off. And it honestly is just my patience. I'm not patient enough because I really want to play. I really want to play Stranger in Paradise. Like I really want to play that game like so bad. But my gamer, I don't even know if it's pride. Like the completionist in me just needs to finish this game. So I want to finish the game and then shelve it.
Yeah. Okay. Well, when you start Stranger Paradise, let me know. Because we can co-op that full game together.
Okay.
Which I'm down to do. So.
Yeah. So I don't know. I'm just ready to finish the game at this point. It's a good game. I have no complaints about it.
Is it the like otherworldly game though that the industry's been kind of crowing about, or you think people are overrating it?
I would say for a long time, Souls vet, it's the Souls game I wanted. I always wanted Dark Souls to be like really pseudo open world, or every Dark Souls game has been like pseudo open world. But this one's truly open world where you can do anything you want to. If you can't beat a boss, you can go fight another boss or whatever the case may be. So in that case, yes, I feel like it is what the industry has been saying it is. I don't give it a 10 out of 10. There are still certain things that me and my other friend were discussing because he doesn't really play Dark Souls games. And I was on the PSN chat with him.
Yeah.
And there are certain shit. Like sometimes the bosses are just really aggressive. And there's certain shit that they kind of break the game on that shouldn't be broken. Like, I don't know. It's just weird shit. I still think the hitboxes are kind of bad. Like, I still think that people may disagree with me. I still think that the hitboxes are bad. I think there are certain moves and certain things that the game expects you to do that you won't know how to do unless you see someone else do it. Like for instance, there's this one boss where he does this one move where he goes way up in the sky and then comes down at you. Not Radon, but it's another character that kind of like stays in the sky. So what you're supposed to do is untarget him and run under him. But the game target tells you to target them. You know what I'm saying? Like the game's been training you that whole entire time to target the boss. So how would you know to untarget him and run under him? And it's another part with the final boss where he shoots like these homing missiles at you. When you have to untarget him and, you know, run from the missiles because you'll run faster. But the game doesn't really tell you that. You have to just learn that. And I don't think certain people will learn that because the game has taught you to target people. And you wouldn't learn that unless you saw somebody else do it. Like I had to go research how to beat the boss, how to get past that part or whatever the case may be. So if you're trying to do like a no spoiler run, I feel like you will be bashing your head against the wall trying to figure out, you know, oh, I have to untarget him at this point. Or it's just certain little shit. And then certain bosses are parryable. It was this one boss, I didn't know for the fucking love of God me that he was fucking parryable. Like you can parry him. And I saw this one guy parrying him. I'm like, wait, he's parried? You can parry him? And there's no cues to tell me that. There need to be certain cues to tell you that the boss is parryable. Instead of just like, oh, you know, I'm gonna, you know, try it, and if I can parry him, I can parry him. I personally, and I harp on how good the game design is in this game. I personally think that's bad game design. There should be certain cues, like maybe the swing, the after after images of the swing or whatever should be like they're white, right? There should be like, like maybe they should be white when you that. Okay, so the after images of the swing is white, then that means you can parry it. And if it's red, then that means you can't parry it. There should be certain things like that, but they don't have that. It's just like, oh, you got to find out. You got to swing your shield. And
that's
and
funny compared to Sekiro, dude. Like they literally made that game, and that game has cues that, you know, like I don't know. Yeah, it's weird.
Yeah, and it is weird. And I think because it's a Souls game, people give it a pass. And I don't think that should be given a pass. So, like, in my opinion, the game's only a 9.5 or 9 out of 10 because there are certain things that the game still hasn't fixed since the old Dark Souls. And I really didn't like that patching shit. So, when they patched the game mid playthrough, and that kind of adjusted my whole playthrough of the game. So, I wasn't really a big fan of that as well. But, I mean, I'm adjusting, I'm getting good, but it's still like, that sucks for people who like, you know, built their games around that or built their playthrough around that build and then they just fucking nerfed it to the ground.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I still think they have stuff to improve on. I'm kind of glad this is probably going to be their last Souls game for a while. Well, maybe not since it's so fucking crazy.
I don't know.
But hopefully they can improve the next game because this is not a perfect game by far. There's still, I don't think there's anything as a such thing as a perfect game. There's always stuff that you can improve on, and I feel like they're the opposite of the Zelda team, right? Like, I feel like don't get me wrong, like the Souls From Software is an excellent studio, but like even with their mistakes, they're still making the same mistakes that were there since Dark Souls 1. Whereas with Zelda, I feel like Breath of the Wild, even though I do not like Breath of the Wild 2 at all, right? Or Breath of the Wild 1 rather at all. I feel like Breath of the Wild 2 is going to make a lot of improvements that I don't have. And they're not going to make those improvements based off of feedback, because if they were going off feedback, they could just make Breath of the Wild 1 again and add a little bit here and there, because everyone says that game was perfect, right?
Mhm.
Whereas with Elden Ring, I feel like that studio is going to be like, well, the people said the game was perfect, so we really don't need to improve. We just need to make the same game but a different environment. And I think they're going to do that. Where there were legitimate complaints with Dark Souls 1, 2, 3, Demon Souls, Sekiro, even though I feel like Sekiro is kind of perfect, and Bloodborne, right? So there are certain things that we all agreed that need to be improved upon, and all those improvements were in Elden Ring, but there are still elements of bad, not game design, but bad things that apply to that whole genre that are not fixed. The button queuing, I feel like if this is going to be an action game, you need to get rid of that shit. I don't care if it's an RPG game and you got to get good. Like I've been totally against input lag and input queuing. Yeah, button queuing since the beginning of Dark Souls. I don't think that takes skill. I think that adds a unnecessary skill gap to it. And at first, it was there because of the 30 frames per second. Like that's why a lot of people don't know that, but that's why it was there. It was a technical glitch, but now it's a staple in the series, and it doesn't need to be a staple in the series. And it's still there. I don't like that, because I shouldn't be. If I get hit. Say if I get hit because I mess up a dodge, and then while I'm getting hit, I press the circle button or the B button on Xbox, and I get hit, and out of my hit animation, I dodge again by mistake because I button queued it by mistake because I'm mashing it. Well, it's like, people are like, well, don't fucking mash the button. Then it's teaching you not to mash the button. That it's an action game, bro. Like I'm sorry,
dude, the fucking okay. The fans of these games are fucking weird. I don't get it, because I am 100% with you on the button queuing thing. I'm sure I'm not gonna like it either, because I'm pretty sure Sekiro didn't have that, right? Like
it has it, but it has it way less.
I don't remember it being a problem in that game. Like where it was like super noticeable. But like my thing is like 99% of other games don't do this shit, So we are all conditioned to button mash, when we're playing a fucking action game. And that doesn't mean like the game isn't like, I don't consider what they're doing with that difficulty. That's not a way to make a game harder. You're just making your game fucking obtuse. Like, because most players aren't going to pick up on that shit, and they're going to be like, why isn't my fucking character rolling when I hit the fucking roll button? They're going to get fucking pissed, and they're going to put the game down. It's like, and to me, that's just annoying, Like a game can be hard with the ability to dodge and animation cancel and shit. Like I don't know.
And I totally agree with that. A game can be hard, and that's actually why I'm starting to prefer. Like if I go back to Nier, not Nier. Well, I can't say Nier, but I didn't mean Nier. I meant Neo.
Yeah.
If I go back to Neo 2, the reason I like that game so much is because when I dodge, motherfuckers dodge. Yeah. When I block, motherfuckers block. That game is so fast paced that it is truly on me when I know when my invincibility frames are. And I feel like Stranger in Paradise is going to be the same thing. Like Team Ninja knows how to do their shit like that. Whereas with From Software, they're getting away with a technical glitch, with a technical, I don't know what the word I'm looking for, but it was a technical glitch or whatever. And they're getting away with it, whereas it's a staple in the franchise. And it's like, okay, can we get rid of that now? Like, you kind of didn't have it. Like you said, right? It wasn't bad in Sekiro. It was a little bit there, but it wasn't bad in Sekiro. But and I'll even say to a degree, Bloodborne, right? Like the reason a lot of people love Bloodborne, because that game teaches you to be aggressive, teaches you to dodge. And when you press the fucking dodge button, you fucking dodge. Like there is no, am I going to fat roll or am I going to regular roll? Like there isn't none of that shit, right? So it's like that's the reason why people love Bloodborne, and the reason I love Sekiro, right? Because I feel like for those two particular games, they perfected certain elements that made Dark Souls and Demon Souls annoying. Whereas in Elden Ring, I'll be honest with you, I think the franchise took a step back. Like this, you can tell this game was made when Dark Souls 1 was or 3 was being made.
Yeah.
Like none of the elements of Bloodborne are in there, except for the jump button, maybe. And none of the elements of Sekiro there, except for maybe the stealth and jump button, the crouch and the jump button.
But the jump is like worse than Sekiro. Sekiro's jump is excellent, you know.
Yeah, like, yeah, you're right. So it's like the game was made with Dark Souls 3 in mind, and they were like, oh, we're just gonna make Dark Souls 4, but call it Elden Ring, right? And that's what they fucking did. I think this game is Dark Souls 4. Like, no one can tell me different. When I was actually playing with somebody, right, who never played a Dark Souls game, and I called myself calling the Graces bonfires. I'm like, oh, where's the bonfire at? He's like, I don't know where the bonfire is at, bro, but I know where the Graces are at. And I'm like, oh, fuck, that's what I meant, because, you know, the bonfires are Graces and, you know, whatever the fuck, they're interchangeable. In my opinion, right, they're the same thing. When you rest at a Grace, it resets the world. You reset your flash. You heal. When you do it, they're called bonfires in Dark Souls and Demon Souls. So it's like those are my things. So I don't know. I feel like the game still needs to be improved upon. There was one more point I wanted to make with Elden Ring that I didn't like. Mechanics and exploiting the game's mechanics, right? This is not a jab at the game at all. This is a jab at the community, and I'm a part of the community. Yes, I'm a part of the Get Good club, right? Sekiro boys, you know, Get Good boys, GG boys, you know.
Boys,
I'm a part of all that shit. No easy mode boys, you know. Stop being a bitch. I'm a part of that shit. At the same time, you cannot hate on somebody for using summons, for using ashen summons, or for using like player summons, or for using the exploit that, or for using the mechanic that's in the game. If you want, it's this mechanic or these two items. I forgot what it is, but essentially you don't lose FP, which is in that game is mana. So you lose mana because it recovers super fast or whatever, and you don't lose it. And that's an exploit. And magic users are exploiting it and beating bosses. Cool. You beat the boss because you found out that way to go, right? And that's cool. Like nothing in the game is, even the most exploitable stuff, you have to grind for it. So if you grind for it and you got it and you're using it, bro, they beat the boss. Their kills are legitimate. I was watching this one Dark Souls YouTuber. He was like, or whatever he is, whatever. This one YouTuber fighting cowboy said that, you know, it's not cheesing when you do that stuff. And cheesing to me is like glitching the game, or like, you know, moving the boss to a certain area where he glitches out and automatically dies. Mm-hmm. That's a cheese. When you're using a mechanic that's a part of the game, or an item that's a part of the game, and you figured out how to use these two items together to make you super powerful, that's not cheesing. And he was saying that that's cheesing. I reject that notion. I don't think that's cheesing. I think you're fucking smart. You work smarter, not harder, motherfucker, and you beat the boss. Just because other people want to fucking dodge and they're like, I didn't beat the boss to the ashen summon or a summon. I beat the boss the hard way. Good for you, bro. You beat the boss the way you wanted to beat the boss.
Yeah.
I reject this notion that, you know, certain people have to beat bosses certain ways or your win doesn't fucking count. Hey, shut the fuck up. Like, suck a dick. I'm sorry.
I agree. I mean, dude, if somebody plays the game and is using mechanics within the game to beat the game, then they've played the same game you have.
Exactly.
I
you're upset that you didn't work smart. You didn't work smarter. You worked harder. You're upset about that.
Right.
Get good, bro. He got good in a different way. He used his brain.
Yeah, get good doesn't mean, no, yeah, this is the thing. Get good doesn't mean that you can fucking iframe every attack with your dodge roll and you never run away from the boss. I think some Dark Souls players like approach the game that way, that like that's how you have to play. And it's like, bro, no. Okay? The game gives you tools. You can use them any way you see fit. If you want to play the game where you're dodge rolling every single attack and iframing every single attack, go ahead. You can play the game that way. Go ahead. But other people are going to use summons. They're going to use the mimic tier. They're going to use these fucking bleed builds. They're going to use the fucking exploit or whatever you want to call it, that Montrell, the technique that Montrell was talking about with mana. Like, they're going to use that shit. It's part of the game. Like, it's fucking part of the game. Like, shut up. I don't understand why. This is such a weird thing that people get so offended at other people having fun in a different way from the way they had fun in a game. Like, what the? Who cares? Shut up, dude. Like, if you like, go play Elden Ring and get off fucking Twitter. Like, I don't know. Like, I just find that really weird.
I totally agree, and it's not just in the Dark Souls community. Like when we have it in the WoW community, you have it in, I'm pretty sure. Yeah. I'm pretty sure it's in the Grim Dawn community. I'm pretty sure, but I'm just tired of that notion that if you don't beat the content in a certain way, then you're bad. You're inherently bad at the game. If you like, there was this whole thing with the Dark Souls community, Elden Ring community. Like, if you use shields, then you're just you're not really that good. You use a shield, and it's like, bro, shut the fuck up. Like he uses strength build, bro. Like you're mad because he uses strength build. He's bodying fucking enemies, and where you're like, I got to iframe everything, and whoa, get one hit.
Like you build your character like that, idiot.
Yeah, like I'm sorry, you're getting one shot at it. You can't play it. Like I don't know. It's just weird, right? So I mean, I'm at the end of the game. I'm about to beat the game, and once I beat the game, I'm going to shelve it for a while because I put over 90 hours into the game, and I think that's way more than I should. That's probably the second highest played game I played. You know what? I lied. I played Digimon World 2 for 200 hours. Don't ask me why.
What?
Oh my
god! Single player game.
Oh my god, Montrell, you love Digimon, man.
I do. I played Digimon. I was young though. I was like 15.
Oh, okay. I didn't know. I didn't know how recent this was. Okay.
Because it maxed out at the time when a memory card when you save your game, it maxed out at 199,999, and I was like, okay, I put over 200 hours in this game. Whatever. Yeah. I didn't care. My highest played multiplayer game, I think, is with you, Justin. We played like 375 hours in Monster Hunter, some crazy shit like that.
No, bro, you played League for probably thousands of hours of your life.
Oh
like,
yeah,
you've probably played League for 10,000 hours, like legitimately.
Yeah, you're right. I probably got like
so that's definitely your highest played game for sure.
Yeah.
Apex is probably up there for you. PUBG a little bit. Monster Hunter.
I actually think I played Monster Hunter World more than Apex. Yeah,
I think we played 350 or 400 hours in that game.
Yeah,
we have a problem. Dude, we had a problem.
Denison, you didn't. Denison, man. We used to get off of work, we'll eat with our girlfriends and wives, and then we were like, all right.
Yeah, you guys were insane.
We all worked together at that time. Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
That's true.
We'd be talking about something at work, and me and Montrell were like, "All right, we can leave. Let's go. We got to play Monster Hunter." See you later, guys.
Man. But yeah, I do recommend everybody play Elden Ring. It's the easier one of the franchise. It's the funnest one. I would say that, just because you have that flexibility of like Breath of the Wild and. But you have the Dark Souls aspect into it. So I officially say I'm done with the game after I beat this boss. So my final rating of the game is like a 9 out of 10. Mm-hmm. There are still some things that need to be improved on.
Yeah, this is just to circle back around. This is the 6th episode that you've been talking about Elden Ring. And
okay, so I've been playing it for 6 weeks. There you
go. 5 to 6 weeks. Yeah, something like that. Okay. Well, all right. I've been playing Lost Ark. I'm still playing this game a decent amount, but I will say my enthusiasm is definitely waning. I am in the middle of tier 3. I'm like item level 1355. And I really like this game, but man, right now it just feels like kind of a slog, because when you get to this point, honing a gear has a 15% success rate.
Oh my god.
And it sucks dick. Like total dick, dude. Like I was playing earlier today on my lunch, and I did 7 hones on an item, and it failed 7 times in a row with a 50%.
Yeah, you sound like Jet now.
Yeah, I mean, dude, that's just what's going to happen when your success rate is 15%. But the fucked up part about it was I had an item that increased my chance by 10%. So I was using that on every one of those. I failed 7 in a row at 25% or higher, that is really bad luck. So I don't know. I'm just like, the game's fun to play, mechanically fun to play, and the content is fun, and there's a lot of shit to do, and there's these fun events and stuff. It's just I played it too much. I'm at like 260 hours since the game came out, and that's in about 2 months almost now. So I'm kind of like, I'm just gonna play it when I feel like it. I think at this point, I'm not gonna be playing it every day anymore. I haven't been. I've definitely taken a number of days off in the last couple weeks, for sure. Where the funny thing is, like, Jet's on the opposite side of the spectrum, dude. He's like doubling down. He's like at the point where he's like, he's got like 6 alts, and he's like trying to play all the alts and like level all the alts again. I'm like, God damn, dude. I'm like, all right, have fun. I'm gonna go play Horizon and shit, you know. So yeah, I'm gonna keep playing that, but you're probably gonna hear me talk about it less and less at this point. It's gonna be more of a thing. I'm probably not even gonna talk about it unless I have something to say specific to like new content I experience or something. So
Gotcha.
outside of that, I've been playing the same games for the last like 6 fucking weeks too, Horizon and Triangle Strategy. But let me talk about Triangle Strategy first. I'm on chapter 14 right now in this game. I made a lot of progress this past week. Actually, there was a lot of grinding that happened, and you know, made my characters a lot stronger. But dude, this game, man, on fucking hard is fucking kicking my ass, bro. Like every map is like, oh, how is this map gonna fuck me in the ass? Like it's fucking brutal, man. Like I was doing a map, chapter 13. I was doing a map, and I kind of had it by the balls. I was kicking the shit out of this map. Like I hadn't lost any units. I wasn't close to losing anybody. Like I was fucking killing the AI. And then the game fucking like throws these 3 random reinforcements right behind your fucking back line in the middle of this combat. And these guys are like uber units. They're like boss level units. There were 3 of them, and they fucking just throw them at you, and they fucking fuck the whole thing up. I still won, but dude, I was pissed. I was like, God damn it, man. Even when I think I have this game beat down, like they're fucking throwing shit like that at me. So the battle I'm in right now is like a fucking really hard, just straight up combat map. And I'm almost done with it. I think I'm gonna beat it, but it's a little dicey right now. But but what I will say, as much as it's hard, it's super fun. I fucking love playing this game. I'm super into this. I'm gonna have to apologize to Kirby because I was planning on buying the Kirby game after I beat this and playing that, but I'm so into this game that I want to experience all the different story permutations.
Mm-hmm.
So I think I'm gonna play it at least one more time. Maybe 2 more times, because there's like 3 or 4 different endings the game has, and I kind of want to experience all those and see how this game plays out in different ways. This game is fucking excellent. This is Square Enix like at their absolute peak to me, like what they're capable of nowadays. I can't believe how fucking fun this game is. Like I'm just completely enamored with it. So yeah, highly recommend it. I keep saying it every week, but it's super good. Montrell, I actually think you will like this game, by the way. Because you do like Fire Emblem. I know you're not a huge tactics player, but this game is very much like Fire Emblem. In terms of the way it plays, it's a little bit more in depth than some of the stuff Fire Emblem does, especially with its story. But overall, it's a very straightforward game, and if you play on normal, you're not going to have probably not going to have any of the issues I'm having in terms of difficulty. Where you're having to replay maps or anything like that. So I actually think you would like this for sure. So when you want something that's like a palate cleanser, give it a shot.
Gotcha.
All right. I don't want to waste any more time on any of the rest of that. So I wanted to get to Horizon because I actually have put a significant amount of time in Horizon this week. I finally broke through my mental block with this game, and I'm all the way in. Last week I had gotten through some story segments that got me intrigued, but this past week I probably put in a good 20 hours, I'd say, or 20 to 25, something like that. I'm like 25% to 30% through the game according to the in-game game completion screen. This game's story is fucking bonkers. Like they like continue to surprise me with some of the shit they are pulling with this game storyline and this franchise. It is fucking zany as all hell. Like it's like sci-fi. It's and if you played the first game, like the first game wasn't really sci-fi per se. So it's really interesting where this game goes with the story. I'm really excited to like beat the storyline. And it's got its hooks in me now. I'm pretty much dedicated to beating this. I just need to keep putting time into it. I haven't played the last couple days because I've kind of been really into triangle strategy, but in terms of the rest of the game outside of the main plot, I think it's good. The exploration of the world is fun. The activities you get to do out in the world that are like on the question marks and all that shit, they're good. Like they're fun to do. But what I will say is the reason I was having such a hard time getting into this game is that it's just it's just in a style that I think a lot of us are kind of over at this point. You know, it's like I don't know. Like I'm like because I haven't played it in a couple days because I'm actually at a point in the story where I need to level up a bit, so I'm kind of forced to do some side activities, which is okay. I don't have a problem with that necessarily, but I'm like kind of looking at the map and I'm like, I don't feel like planning out my route and figuring out where I want to go and like what parts of the map I want to clear right now. I'm just like I don't know. It's like that aspect of these open world games has definitely gotten a little rote at this point for me.
Mm-hmm.
And that's something I think a lot of people playing games have gotten to, the point a lot of people have gotten to with open world games. But to Gorilla's credit, I think this game is the peak of what that style of open world can be. Like it is as close to the peak as possible. I think Witcher 3 is the peak. And I think Horizon Forbidden West is like legitimately like right under that. But the problem with Horizon versus The Witcher, the side quests in The Witcher are really compelling in and of themselves because they are part of the world and they feel really connected to the main story a lot of the time, and they're also really relevant for building the world's lore. Whereas in Horizon, they do build the world's lore, and within themselves they might be compelling, but the problem with this game series, I continue to have this issue with it, where there's just this dissonance between the main story, like what's happening in the main story and what Aloy is doing for these side quests, where you're doing this crazy shit in the main story that is no one in the world understands what Aloy is doing besides like Aloy, and that's the problem. Because when she goes and walks up to some guy and he's like, hey, I need a new frying pan, I don't find that very interesting compared to what Aloy is doing in the main story. It's just not a compelling narrative hook for a side quest, and there's more interesting side quests, but even those, it's like, it's more political within the game's world, but the game's world is so primitive compared to everything in the main story. Like she's like a hyper enlightened individual compared to everyone around her, and it just makes her interactions with people hard to deal with, like hard to kind of digest. Like they don't, like she's like annoyed with most people talking to her. She's like, I don't have time for this. I'm trying to save the fucking world. I'd like I don't have time to go get you a new frying pan, but then you go do it anyways. It's like, it's just, I don't know. It just doesn't, it like rubs me the wrong way, which is why I don't find it compelling. It's something, it's really hard for me to get past with this series. I felt this in the first game too, later in the game, for sure. But it's even worse here because like the shit Aloy's doing, literally no one she's running around with could probably comprehend, for the most part. And it's, I don't know. But I will say, to the game's credit, they are expanding the cast a bit with this game. There's almost like a Mass Effect 2 like building of your crew happening with this game. There are people being brought into the fold finally. Aloy's not doing everything on her own, which is a nice change of pace for this. That was something that was turning me off early in the game because she was so obsessed with doing this on her own. She would not let anyone help her with like anything. And that is like
Mhm.
that barrier's been broken down a little bit, and it's actually really fun to see that. So so I am enjoying that. I think this game is excellent. Like honestly, I really do think the game is excellent overall. It's just like in a framework that isn't excellent. It's like, damn it, man. I kind of want to see what Gorilla could do if they open their minds a little bit to exploring kind of making this game more immersive, you know, than what it is. I think it could be better than what it is overall. The combat, I do want to speak on that too. Is better, much better than the first game for sure. I'm definitely using a lot more of the tools at my disposal, but I am definitely finding myself leaning away from a lot of aspects of the game's gameplay that I just find are not very useful in most situations. Traps in this game feel like garbage. Like they feel totally useless. Like they don't help in almost any situation I ever find myself in because you put a trap down in stealth and it alerts the enemy will walk into it and like every enemy in the area suddenly becomes alerted, obviously because it's like this really loud noise, and then you can't do anything off of the back of that. Like you can't like get a stealth kill or anything like that with it because then everything's gonna see you and they're gonna fucking attack you. So
Mhm.
I find traps to not be super useful. And then in the middle of combat, like they're just you have to like lure enemies into them, and it's just not worth the fucking effort. I'd rather just keep shooting arrows at them, you know, for the most
Yeah.
part. So that's kind of that is there are aspects to this game that just unfortunately don't hold up. However, there are new weapon types that I am finding fun. There is this like javelin that you get that you throw and it attaches to an enemy and explodes the part that you hit. So that is actually really fun. I'm finding that useful, especially to like soften up certain parts of enemies, like certain areas that are really like heavily armored, but then become like really vulnerable after you break off enough of the plating. So I'm finding that fun for sure. Enemy variety is definitely better as well in terms of the machines. There's a lot more interesting ones. um, yeah, I don't know. I don't have a lot more to say this week, I guess, but this game is definitely underrated. I feel bad for it that it got overshadowed by Elden Ring so hard because it is a really good game overall. I'm really having fun with it. I'm really enjoying myself for the most part. Like when I'm playing it, even when I am griping about the activities like the map marker style and all that shit, like when I'm actually running around and doing them, I am enjoying myself. Like it is fun. It's just like you get yourself in a mental headspace with it though, where you're just like, ugh, I'm over this, you know. But then when you like kind of
Mhm.
force your way through that, or when I force my way through that and actually start doing shit, I'm like, oh, okay, this is fun. Like this, like there's like these ruin areas that like are old world ruins, and they're like puzzles basically. You have to figure out how to open a like vault door to get like an item that's in there that's like really valuable. And then
Okay.
there's the tall necks, which are like the Ubisoft tower equivalent that like reveal the area you're in and all the shit that's in it. They're all like puzzles. You have to figure out how to get on them in this game in a much more difficult way than you did in the first game. You cannot just walk up to them and like climb them. Like you have to figure out with the environment that they're walking around how to get on top of them and actually take them over and scan the area. So they are clever with that stuff for sure. But it's just there's just a lot in the game overall, and I kind of wish they had just made a smaller game that was more dense.
Okay.
Overall, I think the game's like too big. You know, it's overwhelming for the most part. So I have a feeling I'm gonna have the same problem with Elden Ring. But the thing with Elden Ring,
You are.
yeah, but the thing with Elden Ring it's probably not gonna annoy me as much because the game's not telling me how much shit there is. Like I have to go find out how much shit there is. You know, it's like
Mhm.
I know that sounds stupid and that's like a really slight
No,
distinction, but it
it,
is a
it makes
distinction.
perfect sense.
Yeah,
It makes. I mean, that's why a lot of people were praising it. Remember, like people
yeah,
were like, "No, I don't. The game's not telling me what to do. I just have to discover what to do."
right.
and everything like that. Like there's a certain item that does certain things to certain bosses, and but you would never discover that if you just didn't explore the game. Which I guess, in a way, to not to cut you off, in a way, it can be a hindrance to the game. But I guess that's the beauty of the game, where you gotta talk to people and understand, like, well, how was your playthrough? Oh, I did this and that. Oh, I didn't know you can do that. That's cool. Like, it started the community discourse again within the online community where everything's readily available to you. You know what I'm saying? So I think it's still cool in that aspect.
Yep. Yeah. So I mean, this game is really good. I would recommend it to people for sure. I'm Montrell. I am going to be really interested to hear your perspective on it. I do feel like you're not going to like it overall. I think the story is going to be the thing that keeps you going with it, because the story is like of everything in this game, and this was true in the first game too. Like Horizon, the game, Horizon Zero Dawn, is like a 7.5, but the story in Horizon Zero Dawn is like a fucking 9, so the game for me overall is like an 8, and the same thing's happening here with Forbidden West, where like the game is probably like an 8.5, but the story in this game is like a fucking 9.5, or depending on how it ends, it might even be a 10. Like, this shit is fucking really, really riveting. So it's like they seem to have that aspect to it down. Like, it's a really compelling world and a compelling narrative, but everything else is like underneath it in terms of quality.
So do you think them sacrificing Killzone for this game was worth it?
Oh my god. Yeah, I saw somebody say that. Yes. Okay, who cares about Killzone? Nobody. If they did, it would be here. Like, they would be making Killzone. Oh my god, dude. Like, sorry, Horizon is way more interesting than Killzone. Ever was. Shit. All right. We've been waxing poetic for like 55 minutes now, so let's actually get into the news before we lose Montrell. All right, let's start. Denison, we were talking about GTA, which you play. So I didn't even know you were playing that game, so I'm actually really interested to hear your thoughts on this. Rockstar announced this week that they actually already launched it, GTA Plus for GTA Online. It is a player membership subscription that is going to give players various benefits each month. Apparently $500,000 of GTA cash deposited into your bank directly every month. Special vehicle upgrades, member only discounts, RP bonuses, and then they say and more each month. So I don't particularly care about GTA Online. Montrell really doesn't either, I don't think. But the thing is, though, I wanted to talk about this because you kind of already alluded to it, right? That Take-Two and Rockstar, Take-Two has shaped Rockstar into something unsavory with GTA Online, I feel like. And I believe you're correct when you say it's only going to get worse with the next game. And this feels like a preview of that reality.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. No, I when I heard this, because the biggest thing for me, so for those of you who don't know, every Thursday GTA 5 has a weekly update. They call it weekly update day or whatever like that. So each week there is a new set of challenges, things that are double money, discounts, all that.
Yeah.
And that was kind of one of the biggest draws for me, that, or at least I'll say that kind of helped me get back into it, as well as Amazon Prime Gaming giving you like $100,000 each week, which has been really helpful. But essentially, like, I'll say, with the double money and stuff like that, it helps you out, helps you gain more. It kind of helps in some ways. I've always saw it as Rockstar kind of moving people in the direction that they want. Like, we're giving you double money on this, so buy these things so that way you can blah blah blah. Or we're giving you discounts on this and you can buy this, so blah blah blah. one thing that I noticed up into the time that they released GTA Plus was the weekly updates. And this was also, I guess, even going towards what I think it's now technically called just enhanced GTA 5 enhanced online or whatever like that.
Mhm.
Um,
Mm-hmm.
is that the weekly updates were bad, like real bad. Like there was 1 week where they just didn't have any discounts or anything like that, and it was double money on stuff that no one uses and no one
Mm.
cares about. Like you're
Mhm.
essentially getting a small amount of money for a huge amount of time that you're putting into it. Um, and then they didn't have any like good cars or whatever like that. And so I kind of already had a feeling like, okay, this isn't going to be good. Like today was, the newest one or whatever, and it was actually a relatively good weekly update.
Mhm.
But at the same time, it just makes me feel like, and mind you, before expanded and enhanced, I would say for at least maybe 6 months, closer to like 9 months, they were giving PlayStation players like $1 million a month. Like
Mm.
you could just download and you'd have $1 million added to your account. You don't have to buy any shark cards, which is another annoyance that I've already that really gets me. um but I don't have faith that they'll keep these weekly updates good, or I have a really sneaking suspicion that there's going to be a point to where they're going to all the good stuff for weekly updates are all going to go to the people who pay for their subscription
Mhm.
service,
Mhm.
instead of all the other people who are just grinding it out. um
Yeah.
it just feels like another I don't know, when they announced it, it really felt like another like fu to the player base. um and yeah, that's kind of it started. I mean, I lost faith in GTA a long time ago,
Mm-hmm.
but they brought me back because they added new stuff, and they had made some things. Yes, shark cards are egregious. Like, I mean, you can pay $100 and you only get what I think $5 million or something like that. And the problem
Well,
is
wait. So
is
what are those? Are they like a loot box style thing, or
no,
what are?
it's literally just buying in-game currency. So it's direct in-game currency that you're buying. They have it in increments of 10, 20, and oh, no, sorry. I think it's 10, 20, 50, and 100, if I'm not mistaken. And
Mm.
each of those correspond to a certain dollar amount that you can use in-game currency to purchase whatever you want. So, they circumvented the whole loot box problem by just saying, "Well, you could just pay for what you want." um, which was already annoying because that kind of created a pay to win kind of deal.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um, but yeah, so hearing that, not only do you still have your shark cards, which are outrageous and egregious on how much you have to spend just to get certain things anyway. um, because there was a point too, I should also note, if you were an early GTA 5 online player, the prices were bad, but they weren't really bad. But when I came back, I noticed that there was just a significant, like, old stuff was still
Inflation.
relatively cheap. Yeah. But it was just, there's a big change. Like, certain things were insanely expensive. Actually, I think I remember when there was a point where they released a DeLorean where you could fly, and it's kind of cool. Um, I think when I left, it was about 300,000, and I was like,
Mhm.
"Oh man, that's a great deal. That's cool. You can get the car, it floats, it flies. That's cool." And then when I came back, it was like uh, $1.5 million,
Mhm.
which is insane.
Yeah.
um, and So just all of this to kind of swing back to the GTA Plus. I feel like all that's going to happen is any new content that they're going to bring out, they're going to one increase the price because they're going to say, well, we have subscribers who are going to be paying more, so we got to keep them going. Um, and I don't know. I feel like I don't think it's good. And like I said, you can already do a pay. It's already a pay to win model. So I feel like this is just another,
Mm,
you know, fu to anybody
letting
who's
know that.
trying to grind.
Yeah.
So yeah,
So this game's like pay to win then?
for the most part, yeah. I mean, if you pay $100 or drop $200, you can essentially buy everything that you want in the game.
Okay,
And
but
some
like
of
what's the criteria of winning though? Like are you like how do you winning relative to other players?
you get better weapons and better vehicles. I think so.
Okay.
I
Well,
guess
yeah,
I
you did
wouldn't.
say you can kill other players, right? So
Yeah,
it
yeah.
creates an
So
uneven playing field in PvP.
exactly. Well, and the thing is, the whole open world map is PvP. So
Okay. So
um,
you'll just load into the world with a bunch of other people?
yep,
They'll just be in it too? Okay.
yep, yep. And they all can just decide to kill you. And if you are, say, like a new
Mm.
player starting out, somebody come by with a freaking
Bazooka or some shit, yeah.
Well, no, yeah, they'll come by with bazookas, tanks, flying motorcycles with rocket launchers on them, and you just die instantly. It's
Oh
it's
my
terrible.
What
god.
is this
No,
game?
Montrell. This is a dude. I knew about some of this stuff. Like GTA Online is the most fucking ridiculous shit I've ever seen.
Mhm.
Like it's fucking bonkers, dude. I don't. Yeah, it seems like a complete crazy land. So
It's a nightmare. It really is. And
So
so,
like, so not to harp on the game any longer, but I've heard takes that the community has been asking for this, and this is not bad. Like
are
that's what
they
I've
are they
seen.
indoctrinated? Like they're so far into Rockstar's thrall that they just like they're like, yes, we want to give you more money. Like they're that into
Well, I
the
mean,
game.
how do you have you been involved with the community at all, or like been on the Reddits or anything like that, or the Twitters or Facebooks, anything like that?
I mean,
Or you just log in and play?
I've been involved with the YouTube community
Hmm.
of it, and I've seen both sides. Yeah, I have seen people who are like, "Man, I've been waiting for this forever." Now the grind isn't so bad. Um, which
Oh
which that's
no,
the
they
that's the
got him.
biggest problem is because
Got him.
people
Got
are
him,
used to
baby.
the
Yeah.
grind, and
Yeah.
that's my biggest thing.
The
It's
grind's
like
not so bad. I can pay the money to grind this. Like, dude, they've got
exactly.
you. They've got you. Like, ugh, that's awful.
Yeah, no, they got like that is, and that's the reason why I side with the other side of the community, which thinks that this is just the worst and it's just going to kill the game in general. Um, because
Yeah.
I feel like this caters to the worst group of people, which
Yeah.
are what most GTA 5 people call the grifters. They're the people who, or I no griefers actually. Sorry.
Oh, okay.
Um,
Yeah.
Griefers. Okay.
Yeah.
yeah, they just go
Griefers.
through and just murder people for no gosh darn reason. They get bored, and that's the problem. See, when you have a lot of money in GTA 5 online, and you have a lot of money and a lot of time, you just it's funny. I talked to one of my friends, and he even said he's like, "Yeah, no, I got to a point where I had everything that I needed and stuff like that, and I just started killing folk for no reason." He's like, "I got bored," and
Jesus.
GTA 5 kind of caters to that. And I felt like this pass just caters to those people because they're like, oh, good, I'm going to have even more money to screw people over.
GTA sounds like the Purge.
Oh, it is.
A
It's the
billion
purge
though,
every
man.
day.
Yeah, that's awful. The NPCs living in that game world must be terrified at all times.
Probably.
They need a masked vigilante to come, like curtail the crime.
I mean, like
Oh,
they
Jesus.
they introduced heists as a way to kind of help people. And that's what brought me back because there were good heists. I found a good. It was still a grind, but I found a good heist that would pay out a decent amount of money by doing it multiple times, and you could do it relatively quickly, and it wasn't that hard. Um, but I guess that was the other issue that I had is
Mm-hmm.
that you still had to do something like that. Like if you did any normal missions, what I learned is if you do normal missions, you're not getting paid enough. Like a normal mission will get you probably $10,000, and it could be and it could be a good
Oh,
15-minute long mission, and it's fit,
yeah.
and you get $10,000, and it's like, oh, the thing that I want is $1 million. Every new car that
Yeah.
comes out is $1 million at least.
Ooh.
So
Yeah.
yeah, I don't know. I think this is just them, using the player base to, instead of fixing the game or changing things, they just milk them more. So,
Yeah, Rockstar and Take Two are cashing in. What a surprise!
mm-hmm,
What a surprise! I mean,
gave
dude,
up on
GTA
Red
is good.
Dead 2 or Red Dead Online.
Why wouldn't
So,
they? It didn't take off the way they hoped. So
yeah.
I think, yeah, I expect more of the same with GTA 6. So we will see with that game. All right,
Mm-hmm.
let's move on. Our next story is the big one for the week. PlayStation finally revealed their subscription service, and they are calling it PlayStation Plus. Yes, they didn't rebrand it. It is going to have the same name as the original service, which, to be frank, I actually think PlayStation Plus is a really good name for their service. So I don't have a problem with it necessarily. But then you get into the names of the tiers, and that's where it gets weird. So there's going to be 3 tiers. This is basically exactly what Bloomberg reported on like back in December. So it's PlayStation Plus Extra, PlayStation Plus Premium, and then PlayStation Plus Essential is the lowest tier. PlayStation Plus Extra is the middle tier, and PlayStation Plus Premium is the top tier. So this is what you can expect in each tier. PlayStation Plus Essential is basically what PlayStation Plus is today. They are not changing any of the pricing at all. It is still $9.99 monthly or $60 for a year of this, and you will have the same perks. So you'll still get your 2 monthly downloadable free games. You'll get discounts on sales occasionally, and then cloud storage, and of course, online multiplayer access. PlayStation Plus Extra, this is the meat one. This is the one that is comparable to Game Pass. So basically, it has everything from the essential tier, but also has a catalog of up to what they're saying, up to 400 PS4 and PS5 games. And this one is going to cost $14.99 monthly or $100 yearly. This is in the United States. There's different pricing tiers for each region. I'm not going to go through all of those. I'm just going to focus on the US here. So $100 per year, $15.99 per month. That $14.99 per month. That $14.99 per month is the same price as Xbox Game Pass Ultimate, which is PC and console Game Pass together. Individually, Xbox only or PC only is $9.99 a month. So, if you're just talking one, just on Xbox, Game Pass is already cheaper than this tier. The premium tier is going to be $17.99 per month, or which that is expensive. However, the yearly price on this one is actually surprisingly really cheap, $119.99 per year, which I mean obviously sounds like a lot, but if you're paying 64 plus already, I mean another 60 for everything you're getting in premium doesn't sound too much more. So if you're going to get premium, this is probably the way to do it. I would not pay monthly because you are looking at, what is that, $180, $216 a year for premium versus the $120 if you're paying it month to month versus buying it outright per year. So that's definitely the deal here for sure. So the benefits of this tier is the same as Extra, but there's an additional 340 games, which is including PS3 games available via cloud streaming. Wah wah. And then an additional catalog of PlayStation, PS2, and PSP generation games for backwards compatibility. And time limited game trials as well are included with this tier, which is well, I guess let's get into it. So, what are your we've been hearing about this for a long time. There's been a lot of speculation. There was some fake shit this weekend where people were making up fucking tiers and graphics and shit, which turned out to completely not be true, which is what I was expecting. But we've been hearing a lot about this. What do you guys think? What's your first kind of impression?
So a lot was thrown out right there. So do you get the download games or stream only?
Download.
Oh, you get to download the games. So that's
Mhm.
PS2 or PlayStation 2, PlayStation
So
3, and PSP games.
the only thing that's going to be stream only are PS3 games. Everything else that I said is downloadable.
So PS2 games are?
Yes.
Yeah,
Are PS2 games included in there?
Yeah, PS2
Yeah,
original PlayStation, PS2, and PSP games is what they listed, and then PS3 games as well, but they will only be streamable. You won't be able to download PS3.
What the fuck is going on? PS3 is that terrible of a fucking console where they can't even
They don't
emulate it
dude,
right?
They
It
don't want to
probably
put
is.
they don't want to put the effort into it. They could do it. They could definitely do it. They just don't want to put the time and effort into figuring it out.
There's so many good games like stuck on PS3. It's crazy.
I know.
Mhm.
I know. It's a great generation. PS3 has actually has a really like underrated catalog of games.
Yeah, I agree.
That being said, this is actually way better than the leaks because the leaks are like, oh, it's streamed, everything's streamed.
Yeah.
So for me personally, just for the PS2 games, because there are so many JRPGs I want to go back and play that I haven't played. I think this is fantastic. The prices are a little bit undesirable, but just for me to go backwards compatible and play those games, it's kind of worth it in my opinion.
Okay.
Yeah.
Denison, what do you think?
Yeah, so I don't know. I'm a little bit on the fence. I really like my PlayStation 2 games, and I also like PlayStation 3. I really enjoy like all of those games that were on there, and I would love to be able to go back and play them. Just depending on like whatever the catalog is. But I don't. I just don't. I don't know. Maybe I'm cheap. I just don't want to. I kind of don't want to pay extra to get that. But I do like that they added that. I mean, it's essentially just bundling in PlayStation, which is now dead. What was it? PlayStation Now,
Yeah,
into the
PlayStation
PlayStation.
Now. Yeah. PlayStation Now has been merged into this, which is I think
Yeah.
largely where the initial catalog is going to come from is the existing PlayStation Now catalog, which is actually pretty large. I think it's about 400 games or something like that. So
Yeah.
one thing I didn't add here is that they did not reveal the list of games that are going to be included. So I'm sure they're going to do that closer to launch. But I felt like that was a really weird choice here because, to be frank, that's the thing that's going to get people to be excited about this is what games will be accessible, especially third-party stuff. That's a big appeal of Game Pass is that you get a lot of third-party stuff day and date sometimes with that service. So I think that's like the key for me. Right now, I buy PS Plus every year, but I get it like severely cheap, and I'm sure plenty of people do. Is you can go to places like cdkeys.com or some shit like that, and you can get a fucking PS Plus because subscription for like $25. So I don't pay the full 60 for PS Plus. So to go from that to $100 per year or $120 per year is quite the ask, to be honest. And I don't know if it's going to be able to pull me in, especially with the fact that they are not putting their first party games day and date, which was the expectation, and is not surprising, but still disappointing nonetheless, because Sony's like right now here with this, to me, they're just trying to have their cake and eat it too. Like they're trying to have the best of both worlds, right? They want their big blockbuster tentpole releases where they sell 15 million copies of those, and then they also want the subscription service that people subscribe to, and they make a fuck ton of money every month off that. They want both worlds, and then what they're going to do is the games are going to come out, and then 6 months later, they're going to put them into PlayStation Plus and add them as part of the subscription service. Once the game's kind of sales life has ended, for the most part, that's what they're going to do. They're probably going to put it on PC first, and then they'll move it into the PlayStation Plus thing as well. Or maybe they'll do it at the same time because they don't really affect each other, to be honest, actually. But so yeah, that's kind of my impression of what they're trying to do. And to be honest, to me, it just falls flat. Like I'm not excited about this. I will say the 120 for the premium is tempting, given the fact that that's a lot cheaper than I was actually expecting for the premium tier, given that monthly price. That is a significant savings every month. Over like, because if you're paying 120 yearly, it's only $10 a month. It's actually the same price as paying for Game Pass,
Mm-hmm.
at that tier. So it's just the fact that you have to pay it in a chunk of $120 that kind of sucks a little bit, So that element does make it intriguing to me, but this is the problem: is the games. Like if this is just going to be a service of games that came out 6 months ago, I'm never going to pay for this, because I buy my games, when I want, like when a game comes out, I buy it and I play it, I'm not going to sit here and wait 6 months for everything. Like, it's in that way, it's going to be really variable given the time of year too, like what comes out. Like right now, for instance, like what a good example right now for me is like Dying Light 2, right? That was a game I was excited about, but I didn't buy it on release, and I still haven't bought it, and I'm basically waiting for it to go down in price. So if that kind of game went into the service, that would be a game that I would play through this kind of service probably,
Mm-hmm.
in like 6 months or something like that. But the thing is, by the time you get to that 6 months point, Dying Light 2 is going to cost like $20, So it's like I could just buy it for $20, instead,
Exactly.
rather than having this service. So like this kind of thing, you have to really get your money out of, meaning you have to be playing the games that are in the service to make it worthwhile. And I'm just not that type of gamer, man. I want to play when I want to play. I don't want to feel obligated to play shit based on where I'm spending my money, So I don't know. That's where I'm standing with it.
Yeah. No, I'm in
Eh,
the same boat. I like having the option of having the back catalog, but to be honest, I would much rather. It sounds, and I may not be. I'm probably different than a lot of people. I would much rather just have the backlog or back catalog available to me to where I can just buy it rather than having to. Because
Yeah.
my old PlayStation 2 games or PlayStation 1 games, if I could find it, like the actual physical
Mm-hmm.
disc, then yeah, I'll pull out my old PlayStation and play it. But
Mm-hmm.
if I can't find it, then it would be just nice to be able to have like a catalog to where I can just go and buy it,
Yep.
at a small rate or whatever like that, and not have to worry about a subscription fee. I would much rather have that than this, because
Yeah.
I'm right there with you. I think it does feel like an obligation.
Yeah, and that's the bullshit part, right? Is these games, these backwards compatible games, they're probably not going to be on PlayStation Store a la carte. So the only
Hmm.
way you're going to be able to play them is through this fucking service. And the other thing they're not going to allow you to do is if you own a game that's backwards compatible, like you own the original PS2 disc or something, you're not going to be
Hmm.
able to put it in your PS5 and play it.
mm,
Like you're not going to be
Yeah.
able to do
yeah.
that either, which is a thing Xbox went out of their way to do
Yep.
with their back compat. So that's the bullshit side of this too for me, is like they're taking a note out of Nintendo's book with this. Like they are locking nostalgia behind a paywall, and Nintendo started this trend, and now Sony is copying it basically, and I'm sure it's going to work to a degree. How much I don't know, but I'm actually thinking this is going to be very successful for them, even though it doesn't make sense for a lot of gamers that are like us, people that are like playing games as they come out. This services sucks for people like us. I think for more
Hmm.
casual gamers who aren't constantly buying new releases, this is probably going to be amazing for them. So that's kind of the like give and take of it. But standing it up to Game Pass doesn't make any sense. Like it doesn't stand up to Game Pass. There's no comparison really. Microsoft is doing something totally different than what Sony's doing here. Honestly, I don't think they're in the same realm, frankly. So yeah, it's kind of
I don't know. For me, yeah, I see what y'all saying. I didn't really think about it big picture. Like it depends on if they're gonna do the Nintendo thing, right? They're like, oh well, we're gonna only release a certain amount of games this month, and those are the only games you can play this month or whatever. Like, I don't know if Nintendo's online service does that, or if once they release those games are there forever.
Yeah,
okay.
They're permanent. It's just like they're permanent, but they came out with like 5, and then they add like 3 every like month. It's not like they're not blowing anyone's hair back with how much shit they're putting in the service. You know, it's like if Nintendo put their weight behind it, they could add 30 games a month probably. You know, and make something like super robust. But they're not doing that shit. They're just trickling the games out. You know, like they're a precious metal. You know, so, which I kind of think Sony's going to do the same thing, honestly. But I will say 750 games or so, though. That's kind of what their numbers add up to. That is a really big catalog. So there's going to be a lot of shit in this when it comes out. So I'm excited to see what the game list is. Definitely.
Same.
That will really be the make or break for it. Is if they announce some games that aren't even out yet are going to be part of it. Like, let's say they put like Forspoken in it or something. I could see a game like that being in there. Because they have a really good relationship with Square Enix. So if they get a game like that in there, like day and date when it comes out, you know, that'll give the service some buzz, you know. Or shit, God forbid, like Final Fantasy 16 or something like that, which I doubt that. But if they did that shit, I mean, I think they'd get a lot of people to subscribe, you know?
Yeah. Or, I mean, they would never do this, but God of War, that would be
I think they do God of War. The new one or the old one?
The new one.
No, this is the thing about it. If they put their first party stuff in there day and date with the box release, I would subscribe immediately. Like,
oh yeah.
And I would never not be subscribed. Like, they would immediately convert me into a subscriber. Like, that's the thing though. They don't want me to do that because they know I will buy God of War day one, you know? So they ultimately will end up losing money on somebody like me if they did that.
I don't think there's no incentive like Xbox to, you know, put first party games on.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So Xbox needs to sell their games and stuff like that. They don't have the buying power that Sony has. So I think this is for pure nostalgia base, and I think it's a good business move, honestly. Like I said, I wish it was under different circumstances, and I wish that, you know, if I did have the old PS2 disc, I can play it.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't know, we'll have to see. We'll have to see when everything comes out.
All right. Well, when they release the game list, we will certainly let you guys know. All right, let's move on. We got a couple more stories to get through here. So it is official. This has been rumored for a while. But E3 2022 is canceled. There will be no physical and no digital event. The ESA has confirmed. So that is a bummer. But we did get a question or inquiry about this from Nerdy Sage. He did say, so this is what he said. Now that we know E3 isn't happening this year, how do you want announcements to be rolled out this year?
That's a good question.
The streams, maybe. Like, I don't know. Yeah. Pick somebody and do the exclusive streams. I mean, E3, this is going to sound so stupid, but E3 was like the socialist movement of fucking video games, right? Everyone came there, everybody showed their shit, right? Now, video games is a total free market. Everyone has to show their own shit and, you know.
Oh, what a surprise. What a surprise. And it's worse.
Exactly. So
great.
So I think that's what we're gonna do. We're in the state of like the free market, state of play, Xbox inside Xbox, the Nintendo Direct, all that shit, and
that's what's going to happen.
Yeah.
what I want to happen is that other cons pick up the mantle, like Gamescom or like TGS and shit like that. That's what I would like, but that's not going to happen. I will be interested to see what happens with Gamescom this year, because they're actually doing a full convention live in person. So some of the announcements may shift to that in the summer, but I think we're going to get a lot of digital events. And we saw in 2020 that sucked. So I don't know, man. I just, man, I'm bummed about this, because I'm going to be honest. I know a lot of people don't like E3, but I do. Like it's a specific time of year, and it's just exciting. You know you're going to get announcements, like, and you're going to get like something cool is going to come out of E3 for everybody. Like, and now it's like we get these digital events every couple months, and most of them are disappointing. They're either poorly made or the announcements suck. Like, they're not even exciting,
Yeah, I do miss E3. It's just we're in the still quote unquote pandemic, and just I sound like a QAnon or whatever they call those people. But we are in that, in a pandemic, and then there's another fucking virus coming around that's made its way from China. So I understand why they shut it down. It's just like, at this point, man, like, I don't know. And they're in California. It's always in California, and California is more harsher on the COVID restrictions. So I understand why they probably can't have it, is there's probably too many COVID restrictions out there. So just coming from that angle, I understand why they're shutting it down. But at the same time, I do miss that atmosphere where it was just like, the hype culture and everything like that. Like, I know we talked about it, how bad it was. But like, now I fucking miss it. And it's like, yeah, I don't get hype for streams anymore. The legit only stream I get hype for is Nintendo Directs, and even those are like hit or miss for me. I'm like, what are they going to show this time? Like, they're going to show some more.
Yeah, right. Mario, like, we got
shit.
the best Nintendo Direct we've gotten in years a couple months ago, right? And my expectation now for the next like 2 years, Nintendo Directs are probably going to suck dick. Like, they blew their load, and like they're not going to match that again, So
yeah, it sucks. I mean, state of plays are ass. I mean, the PlayStation showcases are really good. But every state of play, there has not been one state of play that I'm like, that was a pretty good state of play. They've all been legitimately ass. Like, I think every single one of them.
The game showcase specific state of plays where they show like one game for like 15 or 20 minutes. Those are good. Like Hogwarts Legacy we had a couple weeks ago. The one that they did for Ghost of Tsushima a couple years ago, and like The Last of Us Part 2. Like, those have all been good. But the ones that are like, the 15-minute, like, we're going to show you 10 games that look like indie games, and, that Square Enix wants to poop out, and here we go,
and usually those are all spoiled because they, like, kind of, like, released what they're going to show. So, like, the Hogwarts Legacy thing, like, that was spoiled for me, because even though we saw a gameplay, it wasn't like I wouldn't be surprised, like, when I saw fucking Final Fantasy remake, or not Final Fantasy remake, Resident Evil 2 remake. When they showed that shit at the PlayStation Showcase, or was it the E3 Showcase where the PlayStation was doing it? I don't fucking know. When they showed that shit, I was like, holy shit, this is crazy. And when they showed Final Fantasy 16, I was like, holy shit. At the PlayStation Showcase, it's like, holy shit, this is crazy. Or even when Nintendo Direct, they showed Xenoblade Chronicles 3, because I even made a tweet saying, like, how the dude was like,
you were making fun of me, man. You're like, it ain't happening, Justin. Stop asking for it.
Even when I was like making the little video of the guy, act like he's going to throw himself off the cliff, and then acting like he's pouring bleach in his mouth. I'm like, Xenoblade fans, they don't mention any Xenoblade updates or whatever, and they did, right? So like, that was cool, because they not only announced the game, they showed gameplay footage, and they're like, oh, we're gonna release it this year or next year or whatever the case. I forgot the release date.
This year. No, it's September.
This year. Yeah, so they did this Fallout 4 thing, right? So it was like, that was fucking cool. But PlayStation hasn't done anything like that. Like, when was the last game we got hyped for PlayStation?
Well, it was the showcase that happened several months ago where they showed like
Oh yeah,
Wolverine and like Spider-Man 2.
yeah,
But
and I think they should just stick to
Yeah.
showcases. I don't think
Yeah.
they should do state of
which
play.
supposedly there's been rumors we're gonna get one soon, and I hope we do. But when I
Yeah,
think of like hype, sorry, go ahead.
and I think they should keep expectations low. I think they should strictly come out and just say show the state of plays are for indie titles to give recognition to indie titles, and I would be totally on board with that. That way, my expectations are tempered, and when I do see it in hype indie, I'll be like, holy shit. This game looks fucking cool. I'm buying this indie game. You know what I'm saying? Because they need exposure too, and then leave the showcases. Have like 3 big showcases a year. One at the beginning of the year, one at the middle of the year, and then one at the end of the year. And just do your state of plays for the indie games and everything like that.
Yeah.
I think
or
that
you
would
could even
be,
do 2 a year, one around June and then one around December. You know,
yeah.
like I think that works. Because when I think of one of the most hype conferences I've ever seen, it was like Sony's 2015 E3 conference. I don't know if you guys
They
remember
showed
that.
Final Fantasy
But
remake.
yeah, bro, they showed no.
Mhm.
Dude, this conference was fucking nuts when you look back on it now. They showed Final Fantasy VII Remake for the first time. They announced that at their fucking thing, and it was like a PlayStation. It felt like it was going to be a PlayStation exclusive too, which it pretty much was for a while.
Yeah.
Then they showed Monster Hunter World. I don't know if you remember that.
Oh yeah, I remember
was
that.
the first time we'd ever seen it, and it fucking looked insane. I was like, what the fuck? Like, no one was talking about that next to the rest of the shit that happened, but I was sitting there like, dude, this looks
Actually,
crazy.
that was 2016. The reason I remember it was 2016 is because I was here in Texas and I was living with DJ. And when they showed Monster Hunter World, I ran through the entire fucking apartment screaming my nuts off. Yes, man. I remember DJ was like, yo, this is Monster Hunter? I'm like, oh my fucking God, this is Monster Hunter.
Yeah.
Holy shit.
Yeah.
They can I was tripping out because they can actually show how they connected all the areas. I'm like, they connected all the areas. Oh my God. I was like tripping out about that shit. But anyway, I didn't mean to cut you off. Keep going.
Then well they showed Horizon for the first time, which that game looked fucking crazy. The first time we saw it, like fucking robot dinosaurs with this like primitive looking woman with a bow and arrow fighting that shit. Like it looked insane. And then they showed the reimagined God of War for the first time too. I'm pretty sure in that conference. Like it was fucking nuts, dude. Like so it was I mean that kind of shit doesn't happen anymore. Like I remember coming out of the conference and I was like, God damn, dude, like man, this is why I love video games, man. This kind of shit gets you hyped, dude. Like, you know, so it's like I just don't get that much anymore. I don't know. Like, dude, Nintendo doing that shit with their last Nintendo Direct. That's the last time I was like super hyped about video games and fucking like I don't know. It's been probably since like E3 2019. Which was the last one that was like really in person. So yeah, it was. I don't know, man. It sucks. It's like, I don't know. I just remember go back to it, but
I just remember when Breath of the Wild was real. He was like, "Yo, you see those mountains back there? You can walk on them." Everybody was like, "Yo, this is crazy!" That game, that was a good Nintendo Direct.
Mm-hmm.
Even though I hate the game, the Direct was fucking awesome. That was a really good, awesome game. So, meant to go back.
The good old
Take
days.
me back.
Good old
days.
Man.
It's the pandemic, y'all, was only 2 years ago. Why does it feel like the world changed in 20 years?
You said
it was 2 years.
Only 2 years ago.
Only.
Dude, I feel
it feels
like it was
an eternity.
20 years ago. Yeah.
That's what I'm saying. Why does it feel like the world changed in 20 years? It felt like the world changed like in 20 years, that 2 years ago. Like gas prices were like at $2 2 years ago, bro.
Oh
like that's insane.
I know.
And
I
now it's like
$4.
$4.
It was $55. I wanted to cry.
Oh gosh.
Yeah. Like they're like people were at war. It just feels like we just got blasted 20 years in the future. Like I feel like I'm in 2040 right now. Like that's how I feel.
Well, dude, honestly, it's kind of funny when you look at history. That is, I don't remember what I was listening to, but somebody was talking about the 90s, and how, dude, Montreal. I think this is why we look back on the 90s so fondly, is because like fucking nothing happened in the 90s. Like nothing of historical importance happened in the 1990s. Like probably the most like important thing was like Bill Clinton getting
Columbine.
impeached. Like,
Yeah,
you know,
Columbine happened, and,
Yeah.
and Bill Clinton getting impeached. Yeah.
yeah. There was some wars in there, but it's not like it isn't like of the scale of some of the shit that happened in the 2000s and 2010s, and then now. Like, it just feels like. But you're right. The last 2 years, I don't understand like how much shit has happened in the last 2 years.
Justin,
Like,
it feels like now that we all here, both of us are here on the podcast, all three of us. I feel like the I'm not gonna name the company. I feel like that company we all worked at was like 20 years ago, like legitimately like 5 years ago. Like, I'm like, I've been removed from that company for only 2 years, or maybe a year and a half.
I know, dude.
It feels like I've been gone for 5 years.
You've been through fucking so much in that period of time, too.
Yeah, I know.
Like, it hasn't even been that. Dude, Denison's only been gone for a year. Like,
feels insane.
I can't wrap my head around that fact. This last calendar year feels like I lived a decade. Like in 1 year. Like, bro, I went from like having all like tons of people that I really enjoyed working with me to having none of them working with me within a 6-month period. I almost quit this place twice, and then I come out of it. I come out of it being a manager. Like, I'm like, what happened? What happened in 2021? I don't understand.
Yeah, that
so
year,
yes,
2021 is
I
crazy,
feel
man.
old. I feel like I'm 40, dude. Like,
and that's how I feel too. I'm like, and I'm only 33, and I'm like, I actually woke up one day and I was like, fuck, I'm 33. Because I still, so when people ask my age, I still say I'm 31. And I'm like, fuck, I lost 2 years of my life. I don't know where those 2 years went. I lost 2 years of my life. So,
Same.
I don't know, man. Yeah, like Denison. I met Denison at Tech Systems or whatever, and bro, that feels like 10 years ago.
I know. I think back to it, and I'm like, that wasn't that long ago. And it's so weird.
I know.
Like, I look at my resume and I'm like, what happened? How did I get here?
And then people will ask me like, oh, like some people at my job listen to the podcast. I'm like, so how long have you been on your co-host? And I'm like, 2 years, like 3 years,
4 years,
4 years. I don't think it's been 4 years.
I think it's only
bro.
3. No, it's 4. It's 4.
It's 4. It's 4 years.
It's 4.
Okay.
Yeah, I think it's 4.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, wow, you guys seem like you known each other for about 10 years. I'm like, yeah, it feels like that. Like, I talk to this dude almost every fucking day. So,
well, I mean, me and Charlie are just soulmates. Okay, like we're like platonic soulmates. Like,
I feel like I know all of y'all for like 10 years, and I only know you for like 4 or 5 years.
I know, it's funny, man. Dude, I was like, it is funny to think about, right? Because I was my 15-year high school graduation anniversary is this year, and I was like, God, that was 15 years ago, and it's like that is insane to me to think about, but like the idea that the last like 4 years of my life, like, dude, I've been in my house for 4 years. That anniversary just passed like earlier this month. I know.
That's insane.
Isn't that fucking nuts?
How long have you been married? 4 years?
We're going on 6 years.
But you only been in that house for 4 years, right?
Yeah, we've been in the house for 4. Yeah.
It seems like you've been there for about 10 years, bro. Everything seems longer. I don't know what happened. It was like a time flux.
Yeah. Yeah, COVID happened and we just went into a black hole.
You know what, Justin? I know this is not video game related, y'all, but come on, y'all. But like, I remember you said on the podcast a couple of weeks ago, maybe a month or two ago, COVID happened, or like Trump got in office or something like that, and that's when the timeline split. Our
Mhm.
timeline, we are the alternate. We are living in the alternate dimension. Like, and then there's another dimension, like where everything kept going perfect. But like we're the
Mhm.
alternate dimension, and we're the one destined to fail. We're
Yeah.
gonna build a time machine or something like that. And tell the other
Yeah.
world, like, hey,
Yeah.
can you reset this? Because we're doing
No,
bad.
I'm positive. I'm positive we're heading towards our own doom. Like
Oh,
I'm
yeah.
pretty sure the planet's gonna die. You know, like I think humanity's gonna kill itself. Like I'm pretty sure we're heading down that path. That really fatalist. But you know, nothing that happens on a daily basis has turned me away from that feeling in the last 5 years. So, you know, I don't know. Yeah, I think so. I mean, dude, it's like, can you believe it was 5.5 years ago that Trump was fucking elected, man? Like,
Oh gosh.
can you believe that?
Bro, 2019, we were in each other's faces. Like I would still remember when we were like at Wendy's eating Wendy's with each other. Now
Mhm.
that seems, I mean, we can do it now again, but like we just recently got back to that. Like it still seems weird when I go into restaurants without a mask. Like I'm just like, what am I doing with my life? Like, you know, it's like it's just so weird. Things are so weird now. Like, I don't know, man. Like ammo is like expensive as hell when like people weren't even thinking about guns like 3 years ago. Like everything seems
Everything's hard to
crazy
get
now.
now too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Everything.
And it's out of nowhere. And it's like people are like supply constraint issues. And it's like, bro, what how does that happen in like a half a year? Like we stopped working because to be honest with you, we only shut down for like maybe 4 months, y'all.
Mhm.
Not
Maybe 4
even.
months.
It was 3. Like, but I my memory of this, by June we were back, you know, like by like the
Yeah.
end of June. You know, that's kind of what it feels like.
We canceled COVID at that point. We just said, "Nah, I'm good."
Yeah. Man. Time flies. All right, we got severely sidetracked.
Severely sidetracked. Sorry about that,
Severely
y'all.
sidetracked. Let's get back on track and talk about Montrell's favorite game series, Zelda Breath of the Wild. Which that came out 5 years ago, guys.
That's insane.
The Switch
Yeah,
has been
that's
out
insane.
for 5. The Switch has been out for 5 fucking years.
And still outselling everything. That's crazy to me.
I remember launch night. I went to Walmart to get a Switch, you know, and I can't believe that was 5 fucking years ago. It's fucking nuts, dude. It's crazy,
Bro, I can't even tell you how I got my Switch. I have no idea how I got that piece of equipment. It just appeared in my hands one day. I legitimately don't know how I bought that game.
Dude,
like that's crazy.
Weren't you living with snakes at that point, probably? Or was that even before snakes? I don't dude. Oh my god, man.
All I know is I had it, and then I remember I got the case for Christmas, and then I had games. If you ask me, hey Montrell, when did you buy the Switch? I don't fucking know. That piece of equipment just appeared in my hand, bro.
Dude, you probably just went to GameStop one day and bought it. Like, you know.
I think that's what happened. I think it was so uneventful. I went into GameStop.
Yeah.
Like that's not even a thing now. Like you can't just walk into a store and buy a console now anymore.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna say. I was like, remember when you could actually do that? You could walk in. I remember that's how I got my Switch. I walked into GameStop. They had one. I said, okay, I'll take it.
Yeah, not anymore, man. You want a PlayStation 5? Why did you come to the store, idiot?
Exactly.
You're never getting one that way. Even the
It's already sold out.
Xbox Series X is actually now at the point where you can maybe reliably get it. For the most part, we finally maybe crested that demand threshold. So maybe PS5 will be soon. But
Graphics cards are almost there. You know.
Yeah, until the 40 series comes out.
Yeah,
all right, let's get back on track. Breath of the Wild 2 was officially delayed by Nintendo this week into spring 2023. And Montrell sent me this in text, and I was literally bamboozled because I was like, they put a date on Breath of the Wild 2? Like, I didn't even know they had put a release year on it. Like, I haven't thought of this game coming out in 2022 literally ever. Like, I can't remember ever thinking of this game that way. So when they delayed it to 2023, I was like, wait, what? So yeah, it's delayed to spring 2023. Are you guys concerned?
No,
Nope.
no, I forget
No?
about it. I
Okay.
had forgotten about Breath of the Wild 2 for the longest time. So
Are you excited
you-
about it? Let me ask a different question.
I actually am. I think they're going to change a lot of things or improve a lot of things that I had complaints with in Breath of the Wild 1.
What if they don't?
Then I'm not buying the game.
You done with Zelda?
Yeah, I think I'm done with Zelda. Unless they go back to a point where they have the same formula of Breath of the Wild, but actual fucking dungeons.
Mhm.
I think I'm done. I think Elden Ring proved there's no point they can't do full fledged dungeons.
Yeah.
There's no point. I mean, there's no reason they can't do it. And I understand like Breath of the Wild 1 was I don't want to say experiment, but it kind of was. I mean, they kind of went back to their roots with the very, very first Zelda. But even that one had full fledged dungeons in it, if you want to be honest with you.
Yeah, dude, I'm with you. I think they can do it too. It's like literally all you have to do is build dungeons that have things like room keys and shit like that in them, the way traditional Zelda dungeons have, and they're just self-contained little things.
but
Like
this
they
is
don't have to
modern
be.
day Nintendo.
They don't even have to be big. I don't even necessarily think they need to make 8 fucking massive dungeons the way they used to do with Zelda. Like they could do a bunch of little mini ones scattered throughout the world that you explore, and then they could have like 4 of them. 4 of the big ones. That are like
Yeah, and I know
whole
people say
storyline.
like the divine beasts were the dungeons and stuff like
They're
that.
not.
I
They
just don't.
suck.
I just
Mhm.
I just don't feel like they were. But I'm actually, as hard as I was on the first Breath of the Wild, I'm really actually hopeful for this game because, like I said, the Zelda team is one of those rare teams. They're like the old Monster Hunter team. I don't know about the new Monster Hunter team, guys. But they're like the old Monster Hunter team where they improved upon every title. They tried something new every time. If it didn't work, if it did work, they'll stick with it. If it didn't work, they'll change it, regardless of like feedback and stuff like that. So
Mhm.
I'm really hopeful for it. I honestly think they only delayed this game because you're right. I think a lot of people forgot about Breath of the Wild once Elden Ring came out. That's just a conspiracy theory of mine, but I truly think they pushed this game back because they're like, "Yo, Elden Ring's getting fucking Game of the Year this year. We can't compete with this shit." Like, that's what I think.
Mhm.
I personally think that.
Possible. I'm actually tempted to go back to Breath of the Wild and actually try to beat it properly this
I
time.
I am too, to be honest with you. Now
I'm
that
not
I
gonna
got through
start.
Elden
I'm not
Ring,
starting over again. I'm definitely not starting over again. If I pick it back up, I'm gonna start back where I was, where I had cleared like 5 areas or so. I think that's what I would do. So that's why I'm kind of tempted because I was probably 40% through the game, and I was through the 40% that I had actually mostly experienced already. So I kind of am excited to play it because honestly, the remainder of the map I've legitimately almost barely explored at all, like ever in Breath of the Wild. So I have no idea what's in most of it, and I do find that intriguing. So I don't know. I might pick it back up, maybe in the summer when there's less games to play.
yeah, I just hope they give us more power ups and stuff in Breath of the Wild too. Like,
More
give me a
items.
reason to actually, give me a reason to actually search the world besides a fucking whatever fucking seed it is. Like, I don't care about that shit. So,
Mhm.
yeah.
All right, fair enough. Okay, that's it for news. So Denison, we brought you on today to talk about Gran Turismo. That was what I reached out to you for because this has played. It's kind of played out at this point. I think there will be more probably that happens with this game, but it's going to take a while before it plays out. So the main crux of what's happened here. So let me go through what I understand to be the timeline of events. This game in pre-release did not have microtransactions. The shop was present, but it was locked for reviewers. It wasn't part of the game. Like they couldn't actually access it. Then the game comes out and they unlock the shop, which has a whole bunch of microtransactions in it. And reviewers were glowing about this game. This game got an 8.7 on Metacritic with the critics. And then the players started playing this game, and they felt that it was heavily catered towards buying things in the shop. So Polyphony and Sony react to this criticism with a patch that nerfs a huge amount of race rewards for the most part, and they nerfed them heavily. And there was a couple races that they weirdly buffed really high for some reason as well. But that patch was met with extreme amounts of negativity. This game has been getting review bombed since launch. It is sitting at, I don't even know what it's sitting at right now, but it was in like the mid ones last time I looked at it. It was getting fucking destroyed by users. So the game is in a bad state. Then recently, the last like week or so, they gave everyone $1 million in the game, like 1 million credits or whatever the currency is. And then they apologized for all the issues surrounding the negativity and the microtransactions and all that, and they endeavored to do better, that they will be improving things in the future. So I think that is pretty much where we stand today. If I'm not mistaken, Denison, you can correct me if there's anything I missed or said incorrectly. But so you've been playing the game, Denison, since it came out, right?
Yep.
And how far through it would you say you are?
I am. I don't know. That's the thing. I don't know how many. Gran Turismo is a weird game that it doesn't have specific. I wouldn't say there's not like a full progress, right? So they've introduced this new mechanic where you have menus where it's essentially you go out, you do a certain amount of races, and you collect a certain amount of cars, or you do certain challenges or whatever like that, and then you get past it. So I'm at, I think, 30 menus at this point. I played a little bit last night, and I got all the way to 30 menus. I think there's a huge amount more, but yeah. So that's the menu portion, which I would imagine is like the easiest way to scale. So I don't know how many menus there are, but there could be tons of them. So I wouldn't say I'm super far into it, but I'm a pretty decent ways in, at least enough to where I've gotten past the tutorial or what felt like the tutorial, and just kind of like understanding the mechanics of the game. So I guess one thing that so the million credits weren't just for like the microtransaction stuff and the issue from the last patch. It was also from their servers being down. So for those of you who don't know, Gran Turismo 7 is you always have to be online, which is
yikes,
really bad. And I think they're bringing. Or go ahead. Sorry.
I'm sorry. So there's no like single player?
There's no offline mode.
There's no offline mode. Yeah, it's single player. It's just there's no offline mode, so you can't play the game unless you're online.
That's so dumb.
Are you serious?
Yeah,
it's like Diablo 3 when it came out.
Yeah.
Oh my god, they have to change that. That's not good. Okay, I'm sorry. Keep going, Dennis.
No worries. No, I think it's because they brought over, because if I'm not mistaken, Gran Turismo Sport had that same mechanic, but for that, that was Gran Turismo Sport was literally just online. There was no single player. So at that point, it kind of made a little bit of sense. But yeah, this is a full standalone game, and it's online. So yeah, the servers being down for, I think. For me, I only noticed it because there was one day that I tried to get on, and one night really, because I really only play at night, that I tried to get on and I couldn't play it. But apparently it was
pissed.
Yeah, I was mad, but happily I had another game to play, so I was good.
No, that's the worst when you're into an online game. Like this happened with Final Fantasy, and then it happened to me with Lost Ark, I think, once. Where you're fucking so jazzed to get home and like play that game you've been playing, and the fucking servers are down, and you're just like, oh my god, what do I do? Like, I don't know what to do with my night.
Yeah,
God, I have to play Apex. Oh, kill me.
Yeah, which is, and so yeah, it was down. Apparently, it was down for 30 hours, which is insane. Um,
Yeah, it's
uh,
bad.
so yeah, that wasn't a great impression on me. Because that was the thing. I'll say they hide it really well because I got on the game, I started playing or whatever like that, and I didn't notice the issue until it was down. And then I was like, wait, what? And that made me think, I was like, okay, so what's the point of having a physical disc if there's if you can't play the game without internet? So I don't know how they're going to remedy that situation. So I need to have them. I don't want to talk about that anymore. Um, um, but so one of the big things too was, so they released a patch which, like you said, nerfed a bunch of stuff, but also within that patch it also came with a bug. So you need to do, so to finish some of these menus, right, which also unlocks other races, you have to get
Mhm.
licenses. It's been a main staple in Gran Turismo. Essentially, the licenses are a series of tests that you have to go through, and you have to pass them at a
Mhm.
certain time limit or whatever like that. Well, one of the bugs that was introduced in the patch was, um, they put the wrong tires on one of the vehicles that you needed to complete one of those challenges. And so that
Mm.
essentially halted the game's progress. Um, for me, they patched it relatively quickly, so I didn't notice it as bad. But for some players, it literally stopped them. They couldn't go anymore. Like, I know I talked to Tyler, and yeah, he couldn't pass it until they did that patch. Because by putting on the wrong tires, that means your car has less grip, and you're not able to catch up, or you're not able to beat the specific time that they had for that challenge. So
Oh, so it
um,
was like literally impossible, no matter how
yeah, it
well
was
you
impossible.
drove.
Yep.
That's crazy.
Yeah, you could have been perfect, and it would have still said, "Oh, you're not fast enough." So yeah, that was bad. Which is, it's strange because coming from like Gran Turismo 5, I played a little bit of 6, but not really. That was already a problem. But coming from like previous Gran Turismo games, the mechanics and like just the game itself has always been very polished. And I still would say, other than this glitch, I would say it's still incredibly polished and it still works really well. But that was just so strange. Um and going to the topic of microtransactions, they are, I don't know. I even talked to Tyler about this. So I play the game a lot, and I'm used to Gran Turismo games being longevity, like having longevity, because it takes them forever to build another Gran Turismo game. Um,
Hmm.
so in my thought process, I'm just going to earn credits or whatever like that. But I did notice, like when I first started the game, that you didn't get a lot of credits when you were doing like just normal races. But I thought, okay, well, it might just be because of um progression, right? I have to get a little bit farther and I'll get more money from each race. But when they put in the latest patch, that's when I noticed like you actually get a lot more rewards, and that's when I truly noticed like how much they nerfed it. um Not to mention cars are insanely expensive, but at the same time, like, I don't know, like like I said, I have a love hate relationship with some of the weird things that they've done. I think the cars are very expensive, and I think they are more expensive than they have been in like previous GTA or Gran Turismo games.
Hmm.
And you don't get as many discounts. So Gran Turismo's always had like a used car dealership, and you can usually get discounted cars. And I noticed um, on this one, the discounted cars aren't the same. Like they're not as discounted as they should have been or as they should be. A lot of times, I think I found one car that I was like, I just might as well buy it from might as well buy it with from the real thing, because when they're in the used car dealership, they actually have extra miles, and mileage can cause problems for the car, and it could mean like more things that you have to worry about or whatever.
Mhm.
Could. I mean, I don't think I've gotten to a point where I've seen that mechanic really push itself through, but either way, um, so I do think that is an issue. I think they've remedied it a little bit because, like I said, I have noticed I've gotten more money from each race than I was before. Um, but that's I don't know, man. This game. I'm trying to. I guess the biggest problem for me is that I'm trying to be objective, because I love this franchise so much. And so there's a fan part of me that says like, this is fine. It sucks, but it's fine. But then there's the like other side of me, and I guess it's
Mhm.
more of like the older mature side of me that says I don't have a lot of time, and I don't want to have to grind so hard just um to get to a car that I want to buy, right?
Yeah.
So I don't
Yeah, I
know.
mean, that makes sense. I mean, do you feel like they have made the game intentionally grindy in light of the microtransactions? Like are they trying to make it so grindy that um feel compelled to buy credits?
Yes. Yes.
Mhm.
Um because so you have to I'll give you a quick example. So if you get gifted cars, which is nice, so that's why one reason why I haven't gotten too much of an issue if I wanted to buy a car from the dealerships or even like the
Mhm.
used car, is because they gift you a lot of cars. So, and that's just been
Mhm.
Gran Turismo normally, so I'm like, okay, it's not that much of an issue. But I guess what I do take issue with is the upgrades, right? And some of the requirements that they do for some of the races, right? So they'll require you to have a specific type of car, the car has to be specifically from a specific country or whatever like that. Has to have a certain drivetrain, and it has to be at a certain level.
Yeah.
Um, and so all of that means that, one, you have to get a new car. Two, you and it, so in if you don't have any of the cars that you've gotten gifted or whatever like that, then you now have to pay to buy a car. And then two, you also have to upgrade that vehicle so that way it meets all the standards. So that way you're
Mhm.
not struggling. And some of the upgrades are kind of expensive. um and so I've been in a situation where I've done a couple races or whatever like that, and then I get to this new section, and then I have to upgrade my car, and all of that money that I just won from all of those races, I just spent all of it on upgrades so
Yeah.
I could grind out again. And so it does chug a lot when it comes to like trying to progress how much money you have, and so
Mhm.
that is annoying.
So I'm reading this one of the articles we have here. So this is the plan for the next patch. It's going to be released probably within the next week or so. This at the beginning of April. Rewards for events in the latter half of the World Circuits campaign will be on average doubled. Rewards will be increased for online racing and completion of circuit experience challenges. New high reward 1 hour endurance races will be added to missions, and the upper limit of non paid credits players can hold in their wallets will be increased from 20 million to 100 million. Finally, to address frustration over the scarcity of some vehicles, more cars will be available to buy from the rotating lineups of the used and legend car dealerships at any one time. So there was a limit to the number of credits you could have in your wallet, and it was 20 million.
Mm-hmm.
That's
Which,
yeah.
yeah, which was a problem because I would say there's plenty of like a part of the upper tier vehicles that are easily 10
More than
mil.
20 million.
Yeah, well,
Well,
even
the
more than.
screenshot Dude, the screenshot they have in the article shows some vehicles that are 18 million. Like,
Yeah, no, they're insane.
yeah. So that's really rough. So, I mean, I think I obviously haven't played the game. I kind of wanted to play this game. Like, I haven't played a racing game in a while, and Gran Turismo has always had a weird appeal for me. And I've never played one, so I was kind of thinking I would jump into this game, but with all this shit coming out about this, it just feels like this is a game I should wait like 6 months on now, and wait till they kind of make things better and more palatable. But the one thing I will say about it is, I think I'm almost, maybe I'm giving Sony too much credit here, but as much as this sucks in this situation, this is Sony's first real attempt at something like this. And I think it's showing. Like, they don't know how to do this well, you know? I don't necessarily think Sony's trying to be sinister with this game's microtransaction model. They just don't know how to do this because they don't really have experience with it. Now, given that, on the other hand, are you guys concerned that this is opening the floodgates for Sony to do this with the remainder of the live service games that they are working on? Do you think they're all going to be like this? They're all going to have microtransactions in them like this?
Yeah, I would
Yeah.
say, because Polyphony has never done microtransactions. Now, again, they take forever to build games, but I
was
don't
looking.
even
GT6
remember.
came out in 2013 on the PS3.
Yep.
So yeah, they do take forever. But yeah, I feel the same way. I think it's a good bet that we can expect this more going forward with them. I do think some of their single player stuff will probably be fine. Like, they're not going to touch some of their games, but I think it's a good bet for their multiplayer games that we're going to have microtransaction parties in these games. And I'm not looking forward to it because I don't know, man. I don't like, microtransactions are part of the industry at this point, right? You know, we've all partaken in them to some degree. You know, I've done it with fucking Lost Ark recently. Like, it's not like it's something that, you know, I'm totally against, but at the same time, I feel like Sony's starting to see dollar signs in this field, in these genres, that I'm afraid of them pursuing, because they make a certain type of game and they make it better than anyone, you know. And that was true for Gran Turismo as well. Actually, within its own niche, you know, like Gran Turismo is the premier simulation racer in video games, you know, and it's been that way from the get-go.
Forza came around trying to beat them, but it's not.
They've taken the arcade space more so, right? And the Forza series has two different styles. They have their arcade one, which I think is Forza Horizon, right? And then the normal Forza Motorsport, that's their like simulation style. Is that right?
Yeah, that's the one that they try to go head to head with Gran Turismo, which they have done better in years. But
yeah, but I think the consensus is still that Gran Turismo is like better overall, right? In that space. So to see them degrade these spaces with microtransactions is really disappointing and concerning for me. That I think, you know, there's a chance that their quality will shift and not be quite as good. And I think if these games are successful for them, I think a shift away from single player is possible for them, and that would really be shitty because they're kind of a bastion of it right now in the game space. And I was really hoping we wouldn't get to this point with them, but Man, to see them do this to Gran Turismo sucks. I don't know. I've been following this like with interest, and it seems like they totally missed the mark in terms of what is really acceptable with this kind of thing, and totally overshot that, because what they've done here just seems like it's so shitty, dude. Like, they've made a game that, to be frank, I think for all of you guys that bought this game early, like, you've kind of got fucked. Like, you're kind of the guinea pigs for them to fix this for everyone
Mm-hmm.
else,
Yeah.
and that is a really shitty situation.
Yeah, like I said, technically it's still Gran Turismo and it works very well. But you're right. There are just certain parts that I can tell like Sony really put their hands in and just said like, "Oh, we need those." Um I mean,
Mhm.
the easiest way to tell is like when you um either when you get new credits or you need more credits, it's like right in front of you. It's like a blatant just menu that just pops up and says, "Hey, you want more credits? Click here." And then it sends you over to the PlayStation Store so you can buy more credits.
Yeah.
And
Right.
and I was like, that's not cool.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, and I mean, when the car costs 18 million and your reward for a race is like 15,000 credits, that feels um kind of shady.
yeah. And if you notice,
Um
they never really said anything about changing the prices of the vehicles, which because I
yeah.
haven't seen any of the prices of the vehicles change, it's just
Yeah.
it's more along the lines of incentives of what you can win.
Yeah, because let me do the math for everybody real quick. Let's say the best race in Gran Turismo gives you 75,000 credits, right? Is that accurate? I think that's the one of the highest I saw was like 75,000.
Yeah, I would say about that.
So yeah, 75,000 credits, right? You multiply that by 10, that's 750,000. Multiply that by 10 again. So you've run the race 100 times. That's 7.5 million credits, which then you multiply by 2. You're at 15 million credits. So you have to run the race 200 times to get to 15 million. You still have to run the race another like 40 times in order to get enough credits to buy an $18 million car, which maybe that's the highest in the game. But we're talking 250 races to get one of the best cars in the game. That is fucking nuts. And can you sell your cars in this game for credits or no?
Not yet. There's actually going to be an update for that.
Okay, because that's been a thing you've traditionally been able to do in the past, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So yeah, there's another element though that like kind of points you towards like really shady practices happening here. You're not allowing people to sell cars to make credits, which you are selling to them in a cash shop. Okay. you know, I think your goals are fairly obvious at that point. So the fact that they
Exactly.
have to add that in a patch is like, that's just embarrassing to me, honestly. But dude, the amount of grinding you'd have to do, and that's assuming the best race is 75,000.
Yep.
Like if you want any amount of variety in your gameplay, you're severely reducing your efficiency by doing anything less than that.
Yeah. Yeah. No,
So
I mean, I think right now where I am, my normal races, I'm getting about $15,000 sorry,
yeah,
$10,000, and then if I get my clean racing bonus, which means you drive like a nice person, um, you get an extra like 5,000. So I'm only getting about 15,000 per race.
oof.
So, and again, like I said, it's easy for you to get update or upgrades to wipe that out.
Yeah, right. Because you still have to spend money not only on the car but upgrading said car as
Correct.
well. So man, that's rough, dude. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's grindy as hell. And has Gran Turismo been this grindy in the past?
Um Not really. I mean, there has been, I remember Gran Turismo 5 did have some like old legendary vehicles that were like $40 million or whatever like that. But the thing is, you never would pay that much because you would always get some sort of weird discount or whatever like that. or you'd win it in a race. Like it was easy to get those cars without actually having to pay $40 million.
Okay.
So yeah, so I wouldn't say that was like something that you're gonna see all the time.
Man, well,
yeah,
fair enough. I mean, I don't know. Clean it up, Sony. That's all I really have to say. I don't know. Like, don't do this shit. Like, this is like, if you're gonna do this, you got to do it in a better way. You know, sell fucking like car decals or some shit. You know, I don't know if like customization has ever been a part of these games that much. But yeah, like sell shit like that. You know, I don't know. But even that, I think, would piss people off. They start selling like colors, like blue, like sky blue or something. Like
it would be, because I mean, currently you have to, if you want I forgot about that. If you want a specific color, so like a specific color from a specific manufacturer, so like let's say you've always loved like Subaru's blue, their specific blue, you have to buy the paint color, and then you can apply it to your car. So I forgot about that. Yeah.
So there's a layer of cosmetics as well that's also eating into your credits.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, makes sense. Yeah.
Plus, you have to do oil changes from time to time and engine swaps,
car maintenance.
stuff.
You have to pay for car maintenance. Of course, it's a simulator, dude. Why wouldn't you? Yeah, man. Shit.
So
that's crazy.
That's funny. Well, Denison, thank you for your thoughts on it. I mean, you know better than we do for sure. Neither of us play it, so I kind of wanted to get somebody who was in the know a little bit more. You know, we can definitely speak to it, but we don't know the reality of the series history and stuff like that. So, that was it for what I had on the dock. Our guess the Metascore segment this week, the game we picked doesn't have scores yet, so which was Lego Star Wars: The Skywalker Saga. So we will look at that next week after the game is out and update on that. So that's all I had, boys. Is there anything else you guys would like to discuss before we take off this week?
Not really.
Yeah, that I can think of. Just Sony do better with Gran Turismo, man. I love it. I love the game. Just
indeed
need to do better.
All right. Well, Denison, thank you for joining us.
Yeah, no problem. Thank you for having me.
If you'd like to tell the people where they can find you, go ahead.
Yeah, of course. So, as Justin spoke about earlier in the episode, I am Denison Rice, and I am on the Catchup Podcast with John, my co-host, John Smith. So if you want to look for us, we are the Catchup Podcast with John and Denison. We have a Facebook page, which is, you can actually look us up on there, which is the Catchup Cast. We also have a Gmail, which is the catchupcast@gmail.com. That's the catchupcast@gmail.com. And then we also have an Instagram, which you can also find us there, which is also the Catchup Podcast. And we are essentially everywhere that you can find us. So we are on Spotify, Stitcher, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, anywhere podcasts.
Your favorite podcast app of choice.
Exactly. And then you can also find us on YouTube, which we do live streams on. So we do live streams on Facebook as well as YouTube. So you can find us on either one of those platforms. YouTube, we're the Catchup Podcast with John and Denison. But yeah, that's about it. You can, anywhere you can think, we're almost there. So just not Twitter.
Well, Montrell, we got to get on that shit, man. We're lazy over here at the Players Take. We just show up, show, you know. All right. Well, thank you guys. Thank you, Denison. Everybody go listen to the Catchup Podcast. It is a great show. Montrell and I have been on it a couple times. So that has been a very fun experience as well. All right, everybody. So if you like this episode, please like the episode, review the show, and subscribe to the show on whatever feed you are listening to it on. And please share it with your friends. If you'd like to interact with us on Twitter, you can do so at iTrapToTheHokage for Montrell. That is the number 4, not the word. I'm at ThunderNut01, and the show is at The Player's Take. If you'd like to send us a question, you can do so on Twitter, or you can send us an email to theplayerstake01@gmail.com. And that is it for us, guys. We hope you enjoyed this episode, and we will see you next week.